My mic on? That's so funny. Me singing to myself, folks. Hope you appreciated my little song, Wasting Away in Yoloritaville. So that's been stuck in my head all day because I'm doing a different thing tonight. I've been working on Alterium Shift for a long time, and I used to do development in RPG in a box. And I had made some videos, and in fact, one of my videos got a fair amount of views, and I was like, you know, maybe I should redo some of it. Redux, however you say that. But I don't have time to do the whole record it properly in YouTube or like inside videos and perfectly make a script. I don't have time for that. So tonight, obviously this is not going to go in the video. Tonight, I am going to be attempting to do a redo of the tutorial with the newest RPG in a box features, but I'm going to do it live. So sort of like that, we'll do it live video from a certain talking head. That's why there's no avatars on the bottom. They're not going to be there because I'm going to use teaching mode. So it's just going to be me and you and the world. I won't even have music in the background because if it's going to get cut into a video, I have to remove that track. Otherwise, I don't think I can record a stream and split the tracks of audio. So it's gonna be a fun time, or it's not. You know, any of those options are possible. Let me just get my stuff open here. So that's what we're going with. Now I put a little pin at the top of my stream. Basically, it just says when I'm doing the recording. Well, I'm recording now, but when I'm doing the teacher mode, I'll probably do it in little chunks. I'll work on stuff I want to teach, and then I'll take a pause and read some chat. So, you know, that may or may not be useful for people. They're like, what's the point? But that's what it's going to be. Now, I'm going to test some things real quick here. If you want to get any words in, now's your time. I have no idea how this is going to work, just to be clear. I have no sense of what is the proper approach to making a YouTube streamable live stream that you can also chop up. Never done it before. I always like to prepare properly. So this is new for me to not be as prepared. I did prepare a little bit. I had an idea of what I'm doing. But, you know, with that said, it's going to work or it's not. And if it doesn't work, then this will be a fun experiment. Sometimes you just got to do, you know. I'm trying to get something set up here real quick. You know, they say you should never install things live while you're streaming. Yeah, well, Yoloritaville. Okay, let's see here. I accept the agreement. All right, don't crash my computer, okay? Following applications. Oh, I need to quit it. Okay, hold on. Automatically close the applications, yes. All right, anyway. So tonight, the first thing I'm going to do is sort of what I consider a speed run I'm gonna go through Smile Game Builder. Oof. RPG in a box. I'm gonna kind of touch on or redo the things that I did for the first 3 videos. I think I'm gonna do them faster. I rewatched my videos and like, wow, I was really robotic, and it was fine material, but I felt kind of like I could have sounded more natural. So I do have not a script, but a series of things I want to talk about, and I will talk about those things. I do have a mode where I'm going to do like just a talking head where I kind of introduce each section. Again, I don't know how well this is going to go. I'm going to try to do it more of a one-take run-on sentence as opposed to a perfectly polished piece of material. So, you know, if you're here for the ride, I appreciate it. And if you're not here for the ride, well, then I hope you're having a lovely evening. All right. Any questions before I get started? Because it's about to get real up in here. Oh, wait, I was going to test something real quick. Y'all going to make me lose my mind. What? Hold on a second. I thought I paid for this thing. Oh, that's stupid. Hold on a second. Yeah, so I probably shouldn't have installed the thing until I knew I was ready to use the thing. I want to try to use that little like screen drawing tool so I can highlight things. I'm pretty sure I paid for this tool that I'm about to set up, but I'm not totally sure now. Where would I go? I would be probably under Moxie Mates. If it doesn't work, then I guess that is the YOLO town. Pick. Yeah, I have an activation code. I guess I just have to get my activation code. It was to my Moxie Makes account. Let's go log in. I knew I paid for this thing. I knew it. It's just not set up properly. Account. Okay, so chalk that up. The one thing you should do before you start streaming is make sure the tools you're going to use are ready to go. And don't just YOLO your way all the way to town. Can I just add the code to this thing? Wasting away again in Yolarithaville. Doesn't seem like it gives me a tool to log in. Where's my utilities? Where's my settings, baby? Menu. There we go. Activate. Okay. I don't have to sign in. I'll just get the activation code. Some people say that there's a Moxie to blame. And that's true. Invalid. Invalid your face. I'm wasting away again in Mozzarella. Too many devices? What? So it's the same device. It just asked me to upgrade. And now it's saying... That's just so dumb. Oh, that's so dumb. Okay. So this is the time to chat, folks. I apologize for my silliness in getting this set up. But This is what happens sometimes. This is really valuable technology. We have the technology. We can rebuild it. It'll be amazing. Your lives will be changed. What's your first name? Matzi. What's your last name? Makes. Real name. No lies. It has me filling a company, even though I don't have a Matzi make company. Why does it not have my Matzi make? Okay. Paid for you. You're not gonna get me. Let's see here. My Matzi makes username. This is a great way to start. Anyway, so tonight I'll be looking at the first 3 videos that I did, which I never finished, but I kind of committed to. And those were to focus on the very beginnings of using RPG in a box. Why won't it let me? What I get for starting early. For some reason I thought this would be a little bit nicer. All right. Well, I guess that's it. We're not going to be able to highlight anything. So we're just going to use our mouse. We're just going to YOLO it. Maybe I can use the free trial for now. All right. Well, that really threw me off. I'm super annoyed because these tools should just work for me. And I have paid for this product. All right. Well, that's what we got. So let's get going. Let me go back to my notes here, so I'm ready to go. And I'll try not to let my little flub with the stupid tool that's not going to work for me now. Put this garbage here. And we'll just get going. Right, here we go. Teacher mode. So these are gonna be my teacher mode. Oh crap. There was no audio? I was doing all that talking and there was no audio? Fudge. Maybe I should re-record it, but like try to mimic my lips. Thanks, Hurdle. Well, that was my practice run, my most perfect practice run. Thanks for the heads up. Don't mind my embarrassment. I was just practicing my lip syncing. Got in a minute ago. There was audio in my stream when I was getting started. I'm pretty sure there was. I sure hope there was. Can you guys hear me now? Has it been silent the whole time? Have I been talking as a talking head? Well, I can hear you now. Okay, well. Now I have to go back and just double check. I think in my just chatting mode I was talking though. But I did see I think I saw the little bubble going. Let me just check real quick. Voice mod. Yeah, so I was chatting in this mode. Just, oh man, the insanity. Oh boy. Thanks for the lurk. All right. I lurk without saying anything. Thanks for the lurk, and I'll start over. Again. My God. Woo. This is what happens when you try to do things live. All right. Hello again, everyone. My name is Matzi, and I'm back here with a redo of my tutorial series in RPG in a Box. As you see, the title is How to Make an RPG in a Box Redo. Partly the reason is because RPG in a Box has undergone so many changes since my original video and added a bunch of new features, things that I've really wanted for a long time, actually, like free movement, for instance, and a bunch of other little tweaks and improvements under the hood. Now, for this tutorial and this tutorial series, a lot of the basic stuff is going to remain kind of similar to my original videos. I do consider this kind of a speed run. I'm doing this live while I'm streaming. I'm trying to get this through kind of as quickly as I can without doing a lot of takes. Because it's a live stream, it's kind of weird to do takes in a live stream. So bear with me. Again, for the original video, I did this foreign prince simulator idea. You are a foreign prince and you are trying to deliver actual money to a distant relative who thinks it's a scam. This is just the game idea. I'm picking a random idea that my stream helped me come up with ages ago. And we're going to take this through the process of creating the game from beginning to end, or as far as we can get. Tonight, I'm going to try and get literally as far as I can get with all the different pieces. Bear with me as I make mistakes. We'll make it happen. For tonight's stream, the first thing I'm going to start with is the bare bones. It's just how to get into creating a game in RPG in a Box. So how can you start, get a game running, get a character walking around, get a map put together. Excuse me. Okay, don't drink carbonation before you stream. Get a map put together, get the player walking around, and just have, the start of the game going. I will talk through some of the pieces about RPG in a Box. My tool that I use to highlight things isn't working right now, so I'm going to just use my mouse and hover over things. Again, bear with me, we'll make this happen. All right, so we're going to roll into the first phase, just getting started with RPG in a Box. And now my audio is working, so thanks to Curdle Games for pointing out that I was a dum-dum and I did not have my audio on. All right, let's go to teacher mode. This is my teacher mode. And yes, my audio is working here too. There's not going to be any music tonight. I apologize for that. It's kind of necessary in order for me to record and be able to put some music on the actual video underneath things. Okay, so we're going to get started from the very beginning. I've cleared out everything. I just opened RPG in a Box. This is what I see. And so you can see a bunch of different options here. The first thing I really want to do is just create a new game. You can see here that RPG in a Box comes with some default templates. So if you're curious, you can always start a game using one of these templates and then learn a little bit about how they work. If you want to get a bare bones project done, this is actually what I'm going to go through from scratch. This project will give you a starting stage with a map and some tiles and a character, and you can just play it right away and start moving your character around on the screen. But because I'm going to be teaching you the bare bones basics, I want to start out with nothing. So if you're getting started, you'll have a good way to know how these pieces fit together and how you actually learn to create your game. Hi, Killboy. So again, our game is the foreign, is it IE? 4EI, foreign print simulator. Simulator. For now, I'm not going to worry about path. You can choose your path where you want to put it. This is just going to end up on my desktop, and I'm okay with that. Actually, maybe what I should do is I'm going to go in here and just for the sake of it, I'm going to create a new folder, just so I don't end up polluting my desktop. Boom. And we will select that folder, and we will create our game. Hey, Killboy, I can check out your stuff later. I'm in the middle of like pseudo streaming, pseudo recording, so you know, I will like pause and catch up with chat, but I also need to make sure that I stay somewhat focused on the sections of training that I'm trying to do. So here we are. This is just after creating the game. You can see there's a whole lot of things for us to try to comprehend. As a beginner, I can imagine this can be a bit overwhelming. However, you don't need to worry about every single thing you see here. But what I will say is if you are curious and you want to learn a little bit more, there is this documentation tab. This is a great way to start learning what all the little bits do. There's existing beginner videos that walk you through every little piece of the game by Slayer, by the RPG in a Box creators, and so on. Feel free to check those out. My focus is on making a game from start to finish and teaching you along the way. So I'm not going to go into every little detail on every little feature. Instead, I'm going to give a path on how you might create something from the beginning, and we'll move forward from there. As you can see, there's a lot of different tabs that you can look at and explore. These are different assets that you can create for the game. Tonight, we'll be looking at things like the map editor and the script editor. We might get to dialogues. We're not going to worry about UI or effects at the moment. We may or may not look at items or quests. It depends on what we have time for. But you can take your time and explore any of these options and just click around, try to create stuff, and see what you can get out of it. At the top here, there's a lot of different main menu options. You can do things like export your game, you can play your game, you can create sound, and so on. We're going to focus on the asset manager. This is where you can actually get free assets for your game, so you don't even have to create them from scratch. You can actually start with something before you're even ready to make your own asset. Settings are going to be important for a little part of this game as well. And of course, you can always go back to your game manager or even just exit the game. On the left-hand side, you have the Game Explorer. This has all the different folders that hold your assets. In addition, you have your game configuration. We will look at that in a little bit. And below that, there are tabs for what properties you might be using based upon the tool that you're using. So in a map or voxel editing, this will show different properties of the thing that you're trying to edit. Forgot one other thing. Finally, on the right-hand side, these are where all of your different assets that you can place on a map will show up. You have tiles, you have objects, and you have character. So don't worry if you don't remember all these details. There's a lot to go through, and I believe in getting things going. And then as you're learning, you'll figure out what different tools do. So if we want to get started, we're going to need to make a map. Now, before I actually make a map, I want to call out that the first tutorial series I did, we didn't have free movement, but this has been a feature I have wanted for ages. So we are going to start this game by saying this is a free movement focused RPG in a box game. The first thing I need to do is go into my game configuration. Just double click there and you get all these different options. So you can feel free to peruse the options that you have available. Like that, peruse. I don't know. I'm sorry. This is how I am. Then we go into our gameplay section. This has all the different types of settings you can use. We may or may not look at some of them. Again, those tutorials I showed you have a lot more options for you to learn about. But the main thing we want to do is figure out where we're going to set the game to be free movement. So if I go into game mechanics, you can see we have a movement system. And movement system can be grid movement or free movement. Grid movement requires you to draw what are called navigation lines on the map to strictly say where the player can move, and they move in a grid. Free movement, as it implies, the player can move freely. We're not going to mess with any other settings. We're just going to change that one setting. And now we can proceed to create our map. So in my original videos, I just made test map or random names. I'm going to start naming these maps as if I'm making my game. So the first map I want to make is the home of the player. We are going to use a 16 by 16 tile size because that tends to be what the assets provide. We're going to just click OK. Perfect. We have a map. I can move the map around by using the middle mouse button and dragging. I can use the zoom to zoom in and out. With this particular view, I don't have much ability to tilt the camera, but I can hold the shift key and I can use the middle mouse button to drag the map around. This is okay for just general beginners. If you want to play around, there's other types of cameras you can use. For instance, there's this free look camera. And when I do the middle mouse movement, I can actually change the perspective a little bit better. There are ways to move up and down, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Primarily, we just want to get ourselves started. Now, there is a little bit of a problem here. I don't have anything I can actually put on the map. There are no tiles or objects or characters that are placeable. So this is where the asset library comes in. We want to cover our assets. These are my jokes. And we're going to add some things to the game. Now, first off, I think we want to start with the basics. So I think I'm going to look for some grass. I'm going to use this little search because it helps me find the things I might want to add. And you can see we have a lot of different types of grass that could be added to the map. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this checkbox to select all of those assets, because then I have all these options I can use as we're making the game. So why don't we import? We're going to end up with a bunch of grass assets that we can use. Go back to my tiles. You can see here are all of the assets I just added. And we're going to start by making a little map space. Now, for the purposes of my effort here, I actually want to find a place on the map that is close to the middle. It's hard to tell. There isn't really an obvious way to do this. So I'm going to take the map, the tile first. And then I can find at the bottom right, you can see where my body is. Okay, here, let me just move out of the way. You can see at the bottom right, right over there, where there are coordinates. So those coordinates, which I happen to be blocking because I didn't plan this very well, represent where your map is, where your tile is placed on the map. So for the purposes of this, the easiest place for me to start is 0, 0, 0. And again, I'll move out of your way so you can see it. I'll just put a tile. And I just left click to place the tile. That will get it right there on the map. And then we can talk a little bit about tiles and map properties. So on the left-hand side, you can see we have map tools and map properties. Map properties represent the overall properties for the map. In this case, I don't think you have to worry about any of these at the moment. I don't have a tile selected. That's why I don't see tile properties. But we have map tools. So on the left-hand side here, we have the tile tool for placing tiles. You have the edit or select tool. That's for selecting tiles. So I can select one, for instance. We have the navigation tool, which we don't need to worry about yet. And we have a fill tool, which can fill an area with a selected tile. Right now, we're just going to use the tile tool. And I'm going to just pick, an area. I don't really care what yet. Now, one thing you notice here, this is actually a thing. This is part of the reason why I didn't particularly love RPG in the Box's navigation style. By default, this will add navigation lines. And we actually don't want navigation lines. Because we're using free movement, we don't have to worry about them. So down over here on the left-hand side, you can see there's a little navigation line option. I can just turn that off. And that will make adding things to the map much faster. Now, ostensibly, I could choose the size of my map just by the number of tiles I draw. Doesn't really matter at this point. This is just getting things started. So I'm just using my left mouse and dragging and drawing some things on the map. That's kind of boring. So I think maybe what I should do is add a path. Now, when I put a tile down that I want to rotate, I can use my right mouse to click and rotate the item. And when I place it, it'll place over existing tiles, just like so. And I'll just draw another line across here. Now, of course, I have sort of this weird crossroad. The existing tile set does come with a basic crossroad, but it doesn't have a 4-way. Now, I did debate whether I wanted to talk about voxel editing, but this is the type of thing that might be really useful for you to know when you're getting started. You're starting to draw your map. You say, okay, I have these tiles I want to use, but this fork doesn't do exactly what I want. So we're going to take a little detour here, and we're going to right-click on that tile and duplicate it. And instead of calling it a fork, we'll call it a crossroad. I duplicated a tile, and now I get to find this one right here, crossroad. Pretty sure I spelled that right. And here's our voxel editor. Again, I won't go into depth of it. I'm using the right mouse to rotate it around. I'm going to choose the tool over on the left-hand side that is for painting. That's this little box with the paintbrush. And then I can actually use my Alt key on my keyboard or this little medicine dropper if I wanted to pick up an existing color. And then I use my left mouse to just draw some dirt. It's such a simple thing to show, and I think it would be a good introduction for anyone getting started to just play around with what exists and see what you can edit to get the outcomes that you want. So I've finished editing this. I'm going to press the save button up here, and we're going to go back to our map, which if we want to, we just go straight to this tab. I think I should save this map too, just in case. And now I can go back and I can add my crossroad to the map. There you go. I have a crossroad. If you don't like how it looks, you can always go in and edit it and change it. It almost looks like some kind of weird Christmas gift. Little bow. Anyway, so now we have our map. Perfect. Let's see if we can play our game. This quick play would give me a window that shows me my game, so I'm just going to try it. Uh-oh. So it says I can't actually start my game. You see here we have a startup script that we need, and we have to add a player character. So you can't really play a game without a character. Okay, I got it. And we have to have a script that tells our game what to do when the game starts. So I don't have any characters. These are the characters that get used in the game. Let's go back to our asset library. And I could do a search, but you can see we already have some existing characters. So why don't we just take some of the things that we have here? We'll just click a couple options. I think those will be fine, and we'll import them. All right. Close that. Now, I don't have to actually add the character on the screen. What I need to do is tell the configuration who my main character is. So we're going to go back to the game configuration. We're going to go to general. And in general is where we set up all the basics of our game. We could even add things like a splash image, and we can set on debugging and other options. But in this case, I'm just going to choose Justin. Justin's the creator of RPG in a Box as the hero. Now, I don't actually have a script though. So what is a script? Those scripts are what we need to write games. Many different IDEs or game engines use some kind of script. In this case, RPG in a Box has its own type of script. And we're going to take a look at the most simple, basic thing that we can do. So there's two ways we could add a script. We can go to the script folder and right click and say new. Or we can go to the script editor and we can say new. And I'm just going to call this start. So this is the start script. Starts the game. This is the node-based scripting system. For a lot of beginners, this might actually be quite easier because you can see things terms of the lines and the boxes. There is the version of the script Bauxite code that is actually written script. So if you're a more advanced user and you want to write code, you have an option to do that as well. They actually work interchangeably. So if you add nodes, it'll give you script that you could theoretically edit if you wanted to. In this case, we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to make a node. And we don't need this. We don't need a hello world. What we need is a way to get to the first map. So in this bottom left side, you can see all these different functions and options. The docs tell you a lot about each one of them, but you can go and search for different things that you might want to do. I think it's called load map. Yes, there it is. We're going to drop a load map option on there. It's very easy drag and drop. And you can see it gives me some options. By default, it is selected home. This is the only map I have, so I think it assumes that's where we're going. And player position, remember earlier I showed you those coordinates. This will be where the player gets placed from the beginning. Player direction is how you might want the player to face when the map loads. So it has all the cardinal directions there. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to let it load however it wants. So this is all I need. Now, if I wanted to pick a specific spot, I would go back to my map and I would find a coordinate. Again, I'm going to move out of the way so you can see here. As I move around, if I just pick one of those coordinates there, you can hear me. I'll try to talk at the microphone. I could pick one of those, or I can just leave it at 0, 0, 0. I'm going to leave it at 0. So we'll save this script, and then we're going to go back to our game configuration and set it. So that should be all we need to get our game going. Let's try it. Now there's one little problem, which is this is not for the tutorial, obviously. The way the game loads, it loads on my opposite screen. So I want to get it set for you so you can see it. So I actually use display mode to change whether it's full screen or not. You can mess with this as you want. For the tutorial, I think what I'll do is use it in smaller screen mode so I can move it around and you can see some of the background. So we're going to go back. This is the game. When I started it, it started at this screen, Foreign Print Simulator. All this will be changeable later, and I'll do a new game. Oh, hey, there's someone on YouTube. Hey, Sidem Draws, welcome, and glad that you started the tutorial. I'm doing a new one from scratch, and we'll see how it goes because I'm doing it live. I haven't done that before, and hopefully it'll be okay. We'll find out. Okay, here's our game. So we have added a character. We have a map. This is all we can do. We can use our arrow keys to walk around on the map. It's free movement. All new features, which is great. The game, when free movement, uses the click for attacks as opposed to walking to a point. But this is it, right? This is the beginning tutorial all over again. It is pretty fast to get running, and if you use the blank project that they provide, the one that's like the starter project, it basically gives you the same thing without you having to write all the code. I wanted to do that so everyone understands this is how it fits together. Any game you make is going to need some kind of script that starts it. I don't care if you're using RPG in a Box or Unity or some other game engine. That's how you have to get going. Something's got to kick off what is going to run, and then you've got to have something that makes it run. RPG in a Box makes this much easier because most of the components are just plug and play. You don't have to write a game controller. You don't have to write the input system. You don't have to figure out how free movement works or tile-based building works. It all comes to you basically for free. There we go. That's the first one. I'm gonna outro it real quick, and then we'll start working on the next thing. Sure hope I didn't forget anything. All right, that was part 1 of the series done all over again. The RPG in a Box redo, as I said. We basically covered the same materials. The main difference here is that we focused on getting a game running in the free movement system. I did spend a little bit more time in a couple areas, like showing you really quickly how to edit tiles using the voxel editor, and I spent a little bit more time explaining a couple pieces of the editor and how it works. But basically, this has been the same thing that I did originally. Hopefully, this helps you get going, and as we proceed, tonight, or as we proceed with the series, I will continue to cover all the different pieces, trying to get my way all the way through to the end of the Foreign Prince simulator. So I'm Motzi. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. That's my outro. I'm not leaving. I'm still here. Don't worry. Don't leave. Don't leave me. Don't ever leave. Hey, Piero Gigan. Good luck with the tutorial. I think it's really cool. The visual coding system is interchangeable with the text coding system. I always find visual coding clunky and quick to become unreadable. Yeah, I'm a coder. I like to write code. So what I'll do is I'll go to chat mode. Turn on my audio again. All right, you're going to get double for a second. What I'll do is I'll take a pause, go to chat mode so I can kind of recollect, and then I'll work on the next thing. Killboy, did you want to share your thing? The next tutorial is going to be just like my second tutorial in the other video. I'll do adding more to the map, and I'll do interactions and building a house and stuff. Pierogigon. Pierogigon? Is that how you say it? Or is it Pierogigon? Pierogigon. Pierogigon. Okay. Welcome. Not really, but I guess I can. I mean, you don't have to share it. It's fine. I'm taking a moment. I realized like halfway through the videos, like, I wonder if I'm doing too much content. Although we're going to edit it. I might get 8-Bit Val to edit it again because she did a really good job with my videos. Let's see what you got. Show me what you got. What you really... Oops, I don't want that one. What you really, really got. I'll show you what I got. What I really, really got. I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. Now, I don't have any audio. And that's okay. I'll show you a video. Whoa. So you're doing a 2D platformer now. That's adorable. So did you completely create all of these mechanics on your own? Or did you use any like asset-based controllers? Or did you use like the Corgi engine or something? What does it say in your video? How much of that did you... I want to know. I need to know. I need to know. Tell me, Killboy Gaming, because I need to know. I will get started on the next part of my tutorial soon. I've been promising to do this for ages. You wrote all the code? It looks so good. Can I see your code? Don't show me your code. That's so cool. How did you do all this? Man. I assume you use some kind of assets. It's funny to see what I watched, Taskmaster. Myself. I watched myself. Killboy, you're like a real programmer. What? I thought you were like a security guy. Well, I mean like cybersecurity, not like a security officer. Like a security guard. All right. The assets are on itch. Yeah, that's cool. That's sweet. I love it. Okay, let me just go take a look at my notes real quick about what I'm doing next. Okay, so the first one was the basics. Very simple. Just getting oriented on the map. I pretty much covered everything without looking at my stuff. Now we're going to look at interactions and map connections. So the second tutorial is going to be like making the basic of the house for your prince and getting a door to open, as well as making two maps connect. I'll also go a little bit over like how mapping works too. Again, this is like speedrun tutorial video building, which this stuff took me hours and hours to do the first time. And you'll probably see the difference in the quality because, I'm doing this YOLO mode. Wasting away again in YOLO Ritaville. All right, so we're going to mute this audio. Unmute that audio. Okay. Go back to camera only. Make sure my audio is working. This is just a stepping stone for what I'm trying to get to. Yeah, well, I think it's awesome. I want to see more. I mean, I feel like you're doing leaps and bounds over anything I've done in terms of your learning and outcomes. Maybe it's because I try and stream while I code. Um, anyway, so I'm about to go back into teaching mode. So I'll do a talking head intro for the next video, theoretically. And it'll again be a redo of the previous one, but with a little bit more. Oh my God, I'm getting rated. Hey, Red Zone, how are you? Well, you kind of got me in a weird night. I am doing a tutorial series again for my RPG in a Box series. So normally I stream Alterium Shift. You can see that I have this green screen background because it's going to be part of a cut video. Oh, my bot's not working. Oh, my bot's not working. Hold on a second. Come on, bot. Yes, again. First of all, we'll just do a shout out. Red Zone. So you're not going to get any music in the background. Apologize for that. Normally I do have music in the background. I just don't today. Apparently my bot is just not working. That's also probably part of the problem. What were you working on? A Red Zone? Yes. I'm going to get myself connected. I'll go back to my chat mode for a second. Did I shout out the wrong Red Zone? How many? Who just rated me? Wait, hold on a second. Oh, TK. Sorry. I'm sorry. Well, Red Zone, you also got a shout out for free. You didn't pay a single thing for it. Sorry, TCAP. I obviously was not paying attention. I apologize for that. And I also have to wait a minute before giving another. Oh, amateur hour. Don't worry. We just amateuring it up tonight. Well, I'm working on beginner tutorials, so I feel like that's relevant. Here's a tutorial on how not to stream and deal with raids. Apologies for that. I hope you guys were doing okay. TCAP, TCAP, is that how you say your name? I'm gonna go turn my bot on. Cloud bot master. I once rated a person who rated me instead of giving them a shout out. That's amateur hour. Okay. Well, I don't feel quite as bad about myself now. I appreciate your reasonableness. My bot is just not working. I don't know what that's about. Get owned. Well, you know, I hear Red Zone's pretty cool too. TCAT. There we go. Okay. Oh, buddy. My bad. Apologies for that. I don't know what you were working on, but I hope it was something cool. I'm going to give you a little like there. And I'm going to go back and see what the heck's going on with my bot. Come on, CloudBot. CloudBot, activate. See if it works now. Ah, it works. Okay. Now you got double shouted out. Okay. So you got one more shout out than Red Zone did. I don't even know if Red Zone streams. Making a tower defense game. Okay, so I can see what you're working on. That's sweet. That's sweet too. Feel free to share your link. So like I said, I am trying to get back to the tutorial thing. I normally stream Alterium Shift Development, which is the retro JRPG I've been working on for basically ever. And why does that link not seem like it works? That does work. Okay. Perfect. And tonight I decided I would rehash a tutorial series I did on YouTube for just making an RPG using a system called RPG in a Box. That's this tool here. I would say that at first blush, it is designed primarily for, I wouldn't say less skilled user, but newer development users, because the scripting language is its own custom language. So it's not one of the common languages you'd use It is built on top of Godot, but there are some advanced things that you can do with it. People make real games with this. Hey, thanks, Arusius. That's how you say it. So I made this tutorial series, and then I noticed I got quite a few views on YouTube, and I thought, the RPG in a box product has been upgraded over time, so I might as well just rehash what I did, so it has like updated features, and I don't have a lot of time, during my normal week to do anything besides, work on projects. Hey, Tree Squirrel Pants, thanks for the gifted tier 1 sub. There are Arusius. I'm not going to have any alerts, by the way. Again, I appreciate it that you guys are supporting this, and I apologize for my flubs and whatnot. It's a bit of a unique night for me. Thanks for gifting Tree Squirrel Pants. I need to immortalize you in some code real quick. Okay, we're gonna take a pause here. This is the reason the screen is weird. Actually, I'll just go to teacher mode. I'll just go to here because it's sort of consistent with what I'm working on. Normally when someone subs or gifts a sub, they get immortalized in the Alterium shift code. And I don't want to immortalize you in my tutorial code, so I'm going to immortalize you in the Alterium shift code, and you can live the good life. Of course, Pillboy Gaming is the most immortalized in all of my code, but you will get a chance to be part of something great. Where should I put you? What's the thing I was recently working on? I think I was working on like a smashable thing. So I'll go smash you into the smashable controller, which is basically just the ability of one of the characters we have on map abilities in our game. And so yeah, so I'm just to convince anyone here who showed up and like, why is this guy using this engine? I do know more than just engine specific code. So we're gonna put you in here. So today is the 25th. Thank you, Arusius, for the 2 gifted subs. 2. You'll forever be in the code. Sorry. Wait, did you gift more? Wait, how many gifted subs did you do? No, 2 gifts. Okay. I was like, I thought I saw more for some weird reason. No, not Arusius. Tree Squirrel Pants. You can see how I'm not reading anything. Tree Squirrel Pants gifted a sub to Arusius. Sorry, Tree Squirrel. It's not you, it's me. Arusius. You still get to be in the code though, Arusius. And you also gifted Curdle Games. There you go. All right. I got it. I'm all sorted out. We got it. Tree Squirrel Pants is amazing. You are awesome. Okay. Yeah, you can see here, like, this was all these different gifted subs. There's so many comments in my code now that just have this in it. And it's funny because if I ask like Copilot or ChatGPT for code examples, like they have to read this code. And it's really funny sometimes what they produce. It's like, oh, this must be a standard comment that you would make because I see it everywhere in your code. Talk about poison pilling an AI, right? Okay, so let's just move that over here. Appreciate the raid. Thank you so much again, T Cap, and thanks for the gifted subs, Tree Squirrel Pants. I'm going to go back into teacher mode. It's not that I don't want to talk to anybody, but I did commit myself to doing this, or maybe I should be committed. I'm not sure which. We're going to do the intro to the video. If you guys want to chat, mid tutorial, I will be checking chat, and I'll pause and just say a word or two if I need to. It's not that I'm completely inaccessible, but I'm trying to be partially focused on this. At least pretending like I'm actually trying to be. I'm size and I will hydrate. Thank you. Okay, so the next one I'm going to be doing is the interactions, as I said. And we'll do things like maps connecting and so on. Let's get this going. Nice water jar. Thank you. Sometimes people think it's pretty jarring to see. All right, here goes my intro for my next video, theoretically. Hello, everybody. It's Motzi again, back with another tutorial on my RPG in a box. I can't start it that way. I'm sorry. Hello again. It's Motzi back with my how to make an RPG in a box redo tutorial. Again, this is a redo of the previous tutorials I did, but with the updates to RPG in a box. In the first video, we talked about how we get a map started and get the basic game running. Now we're going to look at some interactions, how to connect maps together, and how to do some basic map building so we can have a house and doors and so on. I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to roll it live, so we'll see how it goes. Good luck, everybody. Cut! Jarring, get it? Haha. All right. So let's go back to our... Well, what's really jarring is when I started, I did a whole intro with my mic off. And it was Curdle Games who said, hey, were you supposed to be quiet? Oh, good. I'm so glad I did that. Talk about embarrassing. All right. So here we are back in our map editor area. This is the map that we started with previously. It's our home. So if it's our home, we need a home. We can't really have a home without a home. Can we? I mean, I guess I could put a little spot on the ground. But in order to add a home, we need things that are home-like. So once again, we're going to venture over to our asset library. And we're going to find home-based things. Now, I'm going to try this. I can't remember if this works or not. But I'm just going to type the word house in the match section. And you can see actually it gave me quite a few bits of a house that I can use. Rather than selecting all, though, I'm going to manually select the things I want to add. We've got some roof parts. We've got some stairs. We got to stare at it. These are the jokes, folks. We have a door. We have a chimney. Let me see what else we have here. And we have a bed. Okay. All really standard house-like things that we want to add. Boom, shakalaka. So now we're going to find the pieces of our house in here. Now, I think that they named them, or you search for them by their name. So let's say I wanted to just filter this down to wall. Here are the walls of the house that I want to add. So before I show you what's wrong with this, I'm going to show you what I'm trying to do. So I want to add a wall to the map, but there's a little bit of a problem here. You notice I can't seem to add a wall and keep the grass underneath it. Now this is where we get into some more of the advanced mechanics of the map. When I say advanced, just basic mechanics, but I totally just burped. But it is something that you have to learn about in order to figure out what you're doing. And a lot of beginners will get tripped up with knowing how to make this thing appear on top. Well, over here on the right, you can actually see how you can change the elevation of the map. So you have little up and down arrows. You can see that moves by increments. These are voxel increments. So one slice at a time. You have this bigger one here, this with a line over it. This will do it by the size of the tile. And we define the map as 16 by 16 by 16 tiles. So this will do an entire step. You can see it changes to 16. And you have a little lock, which will actually prevent the ups and downs from working. And this is actually super important because to move the map around, you use the shift key and you use your middle scroll wheel on your mouse. You want to shift the map. Unfortunately, you can also move the map up and down by holding the shift key and rolling the scroll wheel. Now, this is a little bit of a user interface challenge for new beginners, and you might start dragging around and actually shift it, and all of a sudden now you're off. So make sure you're keeping the eye on where this number is when you're trying to place things on your map. The easiest way for me to shift a level is just by holding shift and going up and down. For the purposes of this tutorial, I will try to remember to use these arrows so that it's a little bit more obvious what I'm doing. All right, so if I want to put a wall on top, I just move it up by 1. You can see now I can place a wall and nothing gets removed. You also might have seen that I use these little arrows here. These are the undo arrows. The Control Z, which everyone should be familiar with, also works, but I decided to visually show it. So right now I'm in tile adding mode, and I'm going to just build myself a house. Let's move ourselves over here. I'm going to lock that to prevent myself from making some mistakes, and I'm going to make the house. So we're going to draw, oopsie daisy. We're going to move it first to 1, then we're going to lock it, and then I'm going to draw myself a house. I don't have the corners yet. That's okay. I'm not going to make it a big house. We're just going to make it, livable. We might be a prince, but we don't need to live a life of luxury. I'll get my corners. Again, I just used the right mouse click to rotate things. And well, grass is probably not the best type of flooring to use. So let's see if we got a floor here. Do we have any flooring? I don't think we do, actually. So we need to go back to our asset library and get our floor in gear. There's some nice wood floor here. Stone floor, maybe. That's kind of a nice wood floor there. And I think that's good. So we'll import those options. One of them is a roof, apparently. Floor, roof, what's the difference? Let's see what we got for a floor. All right, we have a wooden floor, so we'll just add that. Now again, since I'm at 1, I'm going to have to move this back down to 0. So then I can add my wood floor down the bottom. Nice wood floory house. And, kind of a boring house. There's no way to get in, and there's no windows. So maybe we should add a window, huh? Oh, gotta move it back up. So this is, by the way, really important for beginners as editing your map. You may get a little frustrated with the ups and downs that you have to do. It is important because you want to be able to have some control over where your tiles go. Sometimes you'll want things at certain varied heights. So just make sure that you're keeping an eye on where you are on the level. And if something doesn't place right, it's probably because you need to check what level you're on. So I'll add some windows. Make like double windows or something. Now, I do notice that my door is going to be a little off. Maybe I can do this. Well, I'll change this and do a wall. And then we'll put a door in the middle. Now, doors in this case are actually objects. If I go back to here and I try to type door, I don't find anything here. But if I go to my objects, there we go. Isn't that adorable? Now we got a slight problem. I put a door in, but clearly it doesn't seem to fit the house, right? It just means that I put it in the wrong spot. So I try to put it here, doesn't fit. I move it back a slot. There you go. We have a door. I'm sorry for being so dorky, but that's just how I am. Hi, Lopar, by the way. So we have a door. I won't worry about windows around. It doesn't really matter right now. This is just getting the house put together. And we'll make the house a little better by adding a bed somewhere. I don't really like where that goes. So let's find a different spot. Better watch out. Better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. Motsy makes his coming to town. All right, we'll just shove the bed over there. It's fine. We're not going to do anything with it, but a bachelor pad for a prince, got to have a bed somewhere, right? Unfortunately, this is medieval times, so there's no video game system to put in here. All right, we have our house. We have a door. Fantastic. It's amazing. So let's just save it and go play our game. See if we can interact with our house. Now, I suspect we all know already that we can't probably go through that door. Now, It would be kind of cool if I put a door down and it worked immediately. But I don't think that's how doors are meant to work. I mean, I could be wrong. Now, the great part is these tiles work automatically. So you can see how I can't walk through the walls. I can walk through the door. I'm not sure. Can I walk through the bed? Nope. Can't even walk through the bed. Perfect. Now that's going to be interesting. I'll show you why I can do that in a second. But clearly we need to figure out what's going on here with this door. So let's go back and see if we can make our door more adorable than it already is. So I double click on the door to go into the voxel editor. In this case, I don't need to worry about actually editing the door, but I will show you some interesting things. Down at the bottom here, we have something called animations. So this door isn't just a tile. It's actually multiple tiles put together. If I use this little arrow at the bottom, you can see that it has an open animation / close animation. We're not going into animations today, but you can look in the documentation or watch some of the videos to see how animations work. In this case, there's a close animation and an open animation. So first off, the door has a couple properties to it. You can see here, there is this passable property. I went to model properties, passable, and right now it's on. That means you can just walk through the door. If I turn it off, you can't walk through the door. Easy peasy. Second, because we're using free movement, there is a new feature that's pretty cool. It's called thingies. Aptly named because there is a bunch of thingies that you can do. I feel like Justin took a page out of my book when he made this. And the thingy has a bunch of different things that are sort of like auto-wired into the system. In this case, I want to make this door a door thingy. See, it says, please note, the door mechanic is only supported in free movement at this time. So, keep that in mind. If you're using grid movement, you can't use this particular feature. This has a trigger event when the character interacts. We have to use an interact button to make it open and close. And right now, we're not going to worry about whether we have to have an item or an open close sound to the door. We don't really care about sound yet. We'll worry about that later. We set those values. We're going to save it. So now theoretically, the door will be openable, and we'll move on. Before I move on, though, I do want to show you this. If I go back to my tiles and I look for the wall, just to show you why the walls worked by default, the tiles that we got from the asset library have the passable setting as off. So by default, if you draw a voxel model and it has basic structures like this, and you have free movement on with passable off, then the thing won't be passable. Pretty easy. I mean, to me, that is the most elegant way to handle this. I'm really excited about the free movement feature because for anyone getting started, this will completely speed up your process. Just getting things out there and being able to walk around and bang into things. That's how life should be. Just run around and bang into stuff, right? That's like the basics of everything. Hopefully we'll have more than that in the future. But for now, there we go. We'll go back to the map. I saved it. Everything is saved. Yes, yes, yes. And we're going to quick play. Now, I will tell you that I know what's going to happen. And it's not going to be happy making, to be honest. I'm going to walk up to this door. It's not working. Oh, I can't get in, right? Now, the E key is supposed to be the interact key, but it doesn't work. This is super, super important. I actually just learned about this today. And there is a little bit of I don't know if it's a feature, a bug. It's a problem with the way objects are used on a map. I added a door on a map and I made a change to the object afterward. Well, because of that, this door, that specific door, doesn't know it's a door. And that is not adorable. This is the third time I used that joke, by the way. So I am going to have to remove that door and I'm going to have to re-add it so that it knows that it is properly a door. And you can see here, there's a little icon over it that says, oh, look, I'm a door. Woo-hoo. So we will be able to prove now that that door works. Woohoo, right? Let's go take a look. No, don't quit. So now when I walk up to the door, you can see it says E to interact. So incidentally, if you are trying to work on interactions and something's not quite working, just keep in mind that if something is interactable, that is kind of a word, then you'll see this little E to interact icon. And this actually can be bound to different keys. We'll talk about that at a later video, but pretty straightforward by default. E to interact. Ooh, I punched the door open, which is kind of a weird way to open the door, but you know. And I can even do it to close it. So open or close. If it's not open, I can't walk through it. If it is open, I can walk through it. Boom, shaka, laka, as they say. Close my door. No one can get in now. Now, I did say I would do basic interactions. So there's a couple things we could do with a basic interaction. I think that what I'd like to do here is, besides the door, which was kind of a built-in feature, I'm going to make this bed interactable. I'm not going to do anything fancy with it. Just want to show you that how you would do something that you want to make interactable. So there's things here where I can actually click on the object and I can look at, you can notice here I click pretty fast. When I click on an object, entity properties become available. There's a lot of different options. First off, there's a tool tip, which I can write when I walk up to the bed, I'll see a little tooltip that tells me what the bed is, right? Things are going to get better from here. I don't know why I get a kick out of that type of joke. And you can see I have a bunch of different other options. I'm, again, not going to worry about any of them now, but for the curious, feel free to look up the docs. There's a lot of interesting things you can do. You can even make things pushable. But for the moment, I'm just going to go to scripts. So when the character interacts, I want it to do something. Now, I could either create a brand new script. I could go into my script system and make a script I want it to do, or I can make what's called a quick script. A quick script is a script that is specifically tied to the object I'm working with, and it is not a script that's added to my folders up here. And you can see here that by default, it gives me this hello world. Now, unfortunately, quick scripts don't give you the node editing system. So I do recommend everybody get somewhat familiar with the coding-based side of Bauxite so you understand how it fits together. All the nodes have the same type of capability in code. And if you wanted to do something like add display message, I can type display and you can see I have display message, display choices. I can do things like that, right? If I drag it on, I'll get the actual script that I can mess with. In this case, I don't really want to mess with any of that script. I'm just going to make a display message and we'll call it hello world. No, we're not. We're going to call it you better watch out. I'm going to press validate. Validate lets me make sure that I can actually save this script, and then I'm going to click OK. So now I have a way to interact with the bed. The interaction, as it shows, is triggered by the character interacting. I could make it when the character collides, but I'm not going to do that. And then we're going to save this, and we're going to show how we can make interactions work. All right. New game. We'll go up to the bed. You'll see when I thought there was supposed to be a tooltip over it. Better watch out. Oh, I see. When you hover over it, okay. I'll just back up so I can redo that. So the tooltips are only supposed to show if you use your mouse. Now, you don't have to have every game use a mouse, but in this case, you can hover over things to get the little tooltip on maybe what it is. And when you come up to it, you can see that it's interactable. So I'm going to press E, and it says, you better watch out. Okay, So I'm going to pause for just a second. Earlier, I saw Tree Squirrel Pants say, Mati, restore background images, still purple. In case it wasn't clear, the purple was intended. Because it's going to happen is the video that gets cut together for the talking head piece will have some background to it. So it's my chroma key so that it can be cut out. Hopefully it's not still purple. I think there's actually a game editor thing here, right? I don't know why the pinky came up, but we're going to do it. Okay, I'll go back into talking. Okay, so we're back here. We've made an interactable bed. We've added a tooltip, and we've even made a door. We don't have a roof to the house, but that'll be for the next tutorial. So instead, we're going to make a nether map. We're going to go up to our map editor, which we're actually already here. And we're going to press the little paper with the plus sign next to it. This will actually add a new map. And we'll just call this plains. Because it's going to be a pretty plain map. So this is our plains map. We're going to do the same thing we did before. We're just going to make some grass. Keep it simple. I'll find the 0 point just because I kind of personally like having a general idea of where the center of the map is. And then I'm going to drag out some tiles. Now there is an interesting thing here where I feel like I should have somewhat of alignment to my previous map. So this is one, I don't care. What am I talking about? We're going to just roughly guess where this is going to go. Start drawing some tiles. Maybe just make a little curve. At this point, it doesn't really matter what we're doing. It's just to show that we have another map. I'll make some more curves. Very curvy map. We'll make it go up there. So, if I was making a game and I wanted to guide the player to a certain place, I'd probably use a path like this to tell them where to go. At least they can know roughly the direction where they want. We could do things like add signs that have little messages. In fact, why don't we do that just for the funsies of it? I saw the sign. Opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. We've imported our sign. Isn't that a nice design? I'm sorry. And we'll put our sign up here. And we'll give the sign a message the same. We've already showed you how interactions work. So I'm going to go into click on the sign itself. A little careful there. Go to the properties, and we're going to add another script for it. So when the character interacts, we'll just make a quick script, and we'll edit that. We're going to say to YOLO Ritaville. I've decided that's the name of the first town that you come to, is YOLO Ritaville. Hopefully I'll spell it correctly from here on out. So we're done. We saved it. It's good. And then I think that's okay. Now, another thing we should probably do is add some trees. This is kind of a boring plain. So why don't we add a couple trees and other things? This is very, very basic, easy map stuff to do. If you're just getting started, it's really good to know where you can find things like trees and objects in the asset library. This has basically everything that you need to get going. So it's a great way to get started. Do we have any bushes? Let's see. Bush. Ooh, bushes. All right, I'm going to add bushes here. Import all those things. Where'd my trees go? Did I lose my trees? Hold on. Back. Might have lost my trees. Try it again. All right, so we got some trees. So this is a new treat for you all. Treat. And we'll just add some trees to the map for funsies. Small trees, big trees. Guess it's not quite plains if it's got trees, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Little bush on the side. Maybe we'll make it a singing bush later. So here's our map in the plains. But right now we don't have any way to get to this map. So again, like I did in my previous tutorial, I'll show you a really quick trick that they use to tie maps together. Now I could write a script from scratch if I wanted to, but there's already some built-in functionality to do this. If I click on that spot right there, this is the place I want to link. Then I can click on the other tab for the map I had just opened, and I can right click on this spot, and I can actually say link with map, home. So automatically, because I clicked on the previous map and I came here and right clicked on this map, it automatically created a script that should link those two together when I walk to this one spot. I can only do it by one spot at a time. Maybe someday with advanced tricks, we'll talk about ways we can do a broader space. For now, I think it's pretty obvious. If you walk up to the place where the path is, that's how you go from one spot to the next. We'll save that. We'll save this map. This is, by the way, really important for everyone doing RPG in the box development. You do need to go save your assets bit by bit. Bit by bit, like bit by bit. You got to go save your maps. You'll see when things aren't saved. And if you try to run the game, it'll warn you. But for the moment, there isn't a save all feature that is coming in future versions of RPG in a box. For now, you do have to remember where you were and actually save whatever it was that you changed. I'll pause for a second. Gamefront, hi, Nitrix joined the screen. Oh, hey, Nitrix, how are you? Or is it Nixtrix? Sorry. Oh, the Nitrix. I blame it on the monster. Nixtrix, welcome. Nice to have you here. Okay, so we've created a linkage. We're going to go into our quick play. Have to move this every single time. And say new game. This time we don't need to go check out our house. One thing that is, by the way, provided by default is camera control. This can be something that you control, so you don't have to allow the player to move around like this. For the purpose of the tutorial, this is great because I can show you better views. I can zoom in and out if I want to. So now you have a better view of what we're doing. And voila. Look at that. We have another map. Now, with the physics engine for the free movement, there are ways to do things like let your character dash. Maybe what I'll do in the next tutorial is talk about ways to manage your character movement. Because it's a bit of a truck to go from one place to the next right now. You can see here's a sign. I don't think I made the sign blocked from passable, so I have to do that. And we'll interact. To YOLO Readaville. For the kids, that YOLO means you only live once. You know, for you Gen Zers out there, I'm sure you know the word YOLO, whatever. So there we go. I think that's good. I think that's good for this one. So I'm going to go back to my talking head just to do the outro, and then I'll take a pause. Yeah, this is going to be that annoying purple color because when it gets turned into a video, it'll not be so purple in the background. So this ends part 2 of my tutorial series, the how to make an RPG in a box redo. In this tutorial, we covered how to make a simple house with a bed, how to interact with the bed, and how to make a door that you can open, as well as how to make another map that you can travel to. Keep an eye out for the next video, which will cover a little bit more in depth on how to work with your houses, the interactions, and maybe even do a little bit of a cinematic sequence to kick off your Foreign Prince Simulator journey. I'm Matzi, and I'll see you next time. Don't go away, I'm still here. Old school thing. I'm not leaving. I just have to pretend like I'm leaving. Okay, go back to just chatting. I'm going to swap my audio to the one I normally use. Hopefully it's still working. So tonight is tutorial mode, but I'm taking a little break. Basically, I see this as sort of the speed run of what I was doing before. Uh, I want to see if I can get a little bit farther than I did before. Uh, the next thing is going to be equivalent to the last video I did, except I'm going to keep it simpler. What I found when I was doing these tutorials previously, I got too involved in like, oh, I can make this big house, and it just got super complicated. So I'm trying to keep it simpler and get ourselves moving faster, as if I was trying to like, maybe do a game jam game or something. So this is the Motzi tutorial jam apparently, and we'll see if we can get through the next video and perhaps start on something else. The problem is I run out of material. I know what I could do, but I haven't prepared as well beyond the next phase. So it could be a complete crash and burn. I don't know. I mean, I still will have to go and like cut this video up and stuff. But anyone who's sticking around and lurking, I appreciate it. Let me see here real quick. So the next one, I'm going to talk about more map features. We're going to do the auto hiding in the map and groups. We'll just build the house out a little bit more. We've already added tooltips. I don't have to do that again, but I will do some basic dialogue like interactions. Maybe add some more scenery, and I will talk a little bit about some more map tips. And I talked a little bit about some of the map tips already, because when you're doing this type of project, there's a lot of things that come up very quickly. Go look at like the help system. How do I add a tile on top of another tile? Like that's such a common question I've seen. You got to show it in line as you're going. So I'll do a couple like map tips, and then I think just given what it feels like is pretty short time overall, I might just try to make a little like script of a character walking. Now, I'm not totally sure. I need auto hiding for my roofs and the second floor. You already know how to do this, Nix. The second floor thing is, I think, what really flummoxes people. I guess I could do that. I mean, I could do the second. If I'm going to do a second floor, though, I think I have to do what I have to do. Like, I'm going to do a second floor using the existing tiles. I just have to make it super, super basic, not add a bunch of stuff to it. And the second floor problem is like, then you get into layered grouping. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to do that for a third tutorial. It was quite a pain to do when I was trying to record it previously. And then I didn't do some things right. People are like, I don't know, your tutorial, I followed your tutorial exactly and it's not working. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did wrong. Where did I go wrong? So we could try it. I guess I could try it and I could back out if it doesn't work. But I think like multiple layers is a little bit more advanced for a beginner tutorial. I think it's just enough to be able to hide the roof for most people. And then they can, either I can do an advanced tutorial, or they can like look up some of the help articles. I don't know. We'll see. So the only thing I don't know, hey Nix, since you're here, or I guess should I call you Gamefront? What should I call you? Hey you? If you're gonna do a cinematic sequence with an NPC, do you need to create a path for them? My gut says the answer is yes. Right? You'd have to create a path for the character in order to have them walk somewhere. If it's a cinematic sequence. Right, Nix? That feels like what I would have to do. And so for the next tutorial, it actually might be reasonable to say, put a roof on the house, add some stuff, and make a cinema sequence. Good to see you streaming, Super Duper Saturn. Thank you. Nice to see you too. Do I know you? It's first time chatter. If it's NPC, yes, you nav lines. Okay. So then maybe that's what I'll constrain my next video to is the adding stuff to the house, making the auto hiding, and then making a basic cinematic sequence. We'll see how that works. This is where I get into, because I didn't really prep for that part. It's going to be a little bit on the fly. But I'm kind of having fun just kind of running through this and getting through all the videos. A free movement just makes it so much easier to do this. And can you imagine having to add in a tutorial series all the different lines for the navigation? That's a lot. Also, I might have to like only go as far as my voice lasts, because this is like ongoing talking. At least when I stream and do game development, my voice isn't like constantly being used, like partially. Okay. So I'm about to get ready to start on to the next video. On the video. So I'm going to go to the purple screen mode. Making a basic cutscene is actually quite easy in RPG Box, but you will need nav lines. Yes, I recommend that you even fake the player's model by having as NPC, since in free movement you can't tell the player where to go. Well, I'm not going to move the player. Oh, it's you Saturn. Okay, right, Saturn, like from the chats. In this case, I'm not going to move the player, so I will just leave the player where they are. But you're right. I wonder if I should just make a separate model that I can add to the map. Hide the player, add the models, replay it. Probably not a bad idea. So that's what, okay, we'll do that. Good idea. Good idea. Let me go to my teacher mode. Wait, camera only mode. Thank you. This is how I started my stream, with no audio. No, it's not cut anymore. It's back now. It's because the microphone that I have set up for these different views isn't the microphone I normally use when I stream. So I have, it doesn't matter. Maybe I should just stop turning it off and on. Oopsie. Let me just go back to chatting real quick. I'll just turn off my voice mod one. Go. My audio is working now, isn't it? You guys can hear me. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I see the little microphone thing going zoop, 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 zoop. Yes. Good. So if I lock player movement, though, I can move the player, can't I? Thought I could. And as long as the player is on a navigation line, I should still be able to move it. We'll find out. You know, I don't think I've ever done or tried to do a real series. Well, I have done tutorials before in Unity, but those were long and drawn out. You can't move the player through scripting and free movement. Oh, that's because it's not gridded movement. Okay. So then how do you hide the player? Before I get started on the actual tutorial, if I'm in here, there's no hide. So change, you said like move I could change the player to nothing. Yeah, okay. So like, is it change player? No, that's not it. Set entity model. This one right here. Player. Okay. So I can set the player to nothing. I could also change the animation to a blank frame. Right. That's a good one too. I think that it's probably good to do it by manipulating the existing model. I could just like play animation, for instance, and it'll be a blank animation frame. That's probably better than changing the model. I guess the problem is you'll have to mess with the animation frames if you're adding more. But I think from a beginner perspective, yeah, that's a good point. But the RPG in the Box doesn't even let you have a blank model, does it? You have to like you have to create it. Okay, well we'll find out. I remember I couldn't do it unless I put one voxel on it. But blank is good. I'm glad it does. Great. Even better. I'm down with the sickness, friends. Actually, that's literal because everyone in my family has strep throat again. Get up, come on, get down with the thickness. I said thickness, but a tutorial on how to use the tool hand tool for item. Um, does that in free movement? Can you use the interact? There's no like, there's no click interact on free movement. From what I saw, you can have it be blank. There's a little downside though. It's basically just that the collision hitbox is set on the first frame, but you can set a custom collision. Okay. So I noticed in the input bindings that when you do input binding for free movement, there isn't the same like there's interact adjacent, which is the E, but there isn't like click. I didn't see a click for interact. So you can like hover over things, get tooltips, but I didn't see an actual interact option for the mouse. Where is it? I mean, in grid movement there is, right? Interact cursor. But I guess I could add, right? I don't know if I want to do that though. So I'll do that later. That can be a later tutorial. Yeah. Okay, well, this is gonna be YOLO time. We're gonna YOLO this all the way home. So we'll reset this. We'll go back to our map editor. We don't really care about the planes right now. We're gonna work on our house. House about that, friends. I wish this view had a way to more easily manage like the tilt. But I'm gonna go to this view because that's what most people would probably use. Yeah, I see you, Nix. I understood. I'm not gonna change with that right now though. I think if I get to like different methods of interaction, I'll mess with that. You can still make tools. Imagine Pickaxe that can make a minor rock, but if you use it in a tree, nothing would happen. Those should still work in free movement. Okay. Yeah. So tutorial 3 is sort of enhancing what we have and adding cinematic. I might do, if I have time, I can do tutorial 4. Maybe what I'll do is like a quest and I'll build out Yola Ritaville, which is a town you're going to go to like send a letter. Because your first quest is going to be go send a letter to the distant relative, and then the distant relative will be like, I don't trust you. I'll send a letter back saying I don't trust you. Like, Brad, now I've got to go find the relative. That'll be your next quest. All right. Let's go back to our camera only mode. You can record this next section here. Bear with me as I, motsy it up over here. Hey everybody, it's Mati back with the how to make an RPG in a box redo tutorial. This time we'll work on tutorial number 3, which is to focus on building out our house a little more, adding a few more interactions, learning about auto hiding of tiles, as well as making a very basic cinematic sequence. So let's jump right in. You just roll right into this. Get rolling, rolling, rolling. So many tutorials in so little time. I know. I said I was going to speed run it, so I'm speed running it. All right, so we're back here with our house. Now, first off, the house is pretty plain, and while the prince might be a bachelor, I'm pretty sure there's a little bit more that we can have built out here. And we already have a bunch of capabilities in building our house, so we're just going to go ahead and build out a little bit more so we have, a somewhat livable home, perhaps. This is where I just build things. Now I have to move this up to 1, and we'll just, build stuff. How do we build stuff? That's how we build stuff. We build stuff very carefully. Now I think I'll do this. I'll put the... This would probably be a phase where we just speed up the animations and stuff. Now, I guess we could put an inner door. I don't really care about that. Do I care about that? Do we care about having an inner door? It's the prince's own house. Who cares, right? Rolling, rolling, rolling. We put a bathroom. Little potty. I don't have anything that represents a potty. Why don't we just pretend like we have one? We like potty. We like potty. There's like a one stall bathroom. Maybe we'll make it, I mean, the prince is a bachelor. He doesn't deserve to have a full potty. Good. Looks about right. All right, so we'll add a few other things here. Let's go get some other house things, like a bookshelf. I like the bookshelves. I like the bookshelf. A little chest. Get a little chesty in here. What is this thing? Cool. Other thing, table. I want a table. We're gonna table this discussion. Am I right? Computer. I kind of want to add. I made a joke earlier that there wasn't video games. I think we're gonna add some video game system in here. Is there a toilet? There is a toilet. Oh yeah, buddy. Is there a rug? Maybe? No. Carpet? No. I thought there was a rug in here. Body, you can just make a hole in the ground. This is gonna be phony medieval times. We don't need a bench. We could put a Christmas tree, I guess. I think I already took the book. Oh no, did I lose all of my things? Hold on. I forgot that you can't import it. So you have to remember that if you're going to search for things, you've got to import them as you find them. That was a little bit that I forgot. So I put all that work in and did not get the things that I wanted. We'll get those 2. And then get our tables along with our video game system. Can't have a proper bachelor pad without a video game system. We had table, bathroom. What else do we need? Chest. Get a couple chest options. Are there any mirrors? Oh, look at that! That's cool. Okay, maybe I'll make maybe I'll have to expand the bathroom a little bit. We got to have a sink. You can't have a toilet without a sink, right? I think so. I think so. Dial-up internet is a classic staple of medieval times. Exactly. I can't believe there's no rug though, or carpet, or they're not. They don't have like a thing. That's okay. I think that will be okay. Let's see what else we. Anything else that looks interesting in here? Little chair. Is that a chair? That's a wagon. Little fireplace. That's good. We'll get one of those. We won't put a chimney on it though, or maybe we will. I like to move it, move it. Oh yeah, I forgot we had like these things. These are cool. We're gonna just deck this thing out, yo. Refrigerator. Put a little refrigerator in there. Stove. Ooh, we might be getting a little crazy here. Started with let's make this bachelor pad, austere, and now we're getting crazy up in here. We're gonna add a toilet. Fine, that makes sense. And then we'll do mirror. Oh, what is it? Sink. Oh. Got that sinking feeling again. That sink might be a little bit too big for us. Think so? I think so. So we might have to get a different sink. We'll go with the simpler sink. I don't really think this prince wants to see what they look like anyway. I don't think it would be a good idea. It might break the mirror. Got that sinking feeling. All right, here we go. This won't make any sense. The door and the thing. We just put the sink on the other side. Actually, that's a really great place to put a sink. That's even better. We'll do that. In free move mode, the hitbox will matter a lot. It's possible that a small enough player hitbox model could fit through NPC grid lines is too narrow. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how this ends up working out. So we got a sink, perfect. And we'll do what? Bookshelf? We're on bookshelf. We have to do the smaller one because it needs to fit the space here. Let's have more of a public. No, actually, I kind of want a kitchen. This is so bad. I'm just so into my home decorating experience. So we need like, a little place that, when you go to bed, you can read from your book behind you. Living room will be here, I think. Doesn't really make sense to put a kitchen right by the bedroom, but we can put, oh, that's good right there. Look at that. That's the one I want, right? You're the one that I want. Ooh, ooh, honey. Maybe a little stove somewhere. Keep the living room warm. Now, we don't have a proper chair, so we'll just have some, fancy princely chair. Add a stove. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Refrigerator. Very oh, that refrigerator is too big. Okay. So we're gonna make the refrigerator a little smaller. Duplicate refrigerator smaller. We can't have refrigerator taller. Gotta have refrigerator smaller. I think I can just literally chop it off. Perfect. I like that just worked. You can also fall through the map if the floor doesn't have a hitbox. Yeah, you could very quickly make your own rug object by just making a single tile of color, black and white. I could. You can rescale things now. Oh, I could, but I don't. I think I want to keep within the sort of voxel structure, and I'm not So right now, this is sort of the mode in which I will just make stuff, as opposed to like talking through the process. Scaling things will come later, I think. Kitchen. What did I do with the kitchen? Did I not make? Did I not get a kitchen sink? I didn't. Yeah, buddy. Everything but the kitchen sink, baby. Oh wait, we get the kitchen sink. You have a dishwasher? How can we have a medieval house without a dishwasher? Oh, no dishwasher. All right, well. Then maybe we need to reconsider some choices. A double. We need 2 stoves. It's a 2-stove kind of house. Maybe 2 refrigerators. I don't think we thought about this house plan very well. By we, I mean me, obviously. We'll do a little like. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a bit much. Anything else we want to add? A chest? Oh yeah, we're gonna put a chest in here. Totally different style chest though. Little RPG IAB chest. Got our video game system. We got our books. We have. I think that's good enough. You can make like a dining table. I could. Where's the table stuff that I added? Let's put a little table here. Some chairs. People use the fancy chairs. All right. I think that's good enough for a house. Savvy. You know, not going to be perfect, but we'll make it work. So, one thing that we could do is spend all of our time going through the house and messing with all the different things that we can do as interaction. Rather than do that, I'll leave it up to the creators out there when you make your house to go through and do things. However, I will do a couple of them just for funsies. Now, I did add tooltip for the bed. Instead of adding a tooltip, I'll just add a couple of basic dialogue messages so we can see how dialogues work. So dialogues are a little bit different than just adding a message that pops up. Dialogues can involve different messages. Now, for something as simple as a bookshelf, you might not need a dialogue. However, it's good to learn how they work. So we're going to go look over here at the dialogue editor, and we're going to add a bookshelf dialogue. I would imagine that your naming conventions might need to be a little bit better than that. You can notice here that we have NPCs for dialogues. I think I can add dialogues to objects. So we're going to try that and see how it works. Pretty sure it has to be NPC. Can I do it as NPC? And this is my test phase of making a dialogue. I can't remember exactly how these work. Let me see if I can add a dialogue. Can I add a dialogue to an object? I guess I can't, can I? Can make it show a dialogue though, right? I could do like this. Right. Okay. Whether it's designer friendly or not, I do want to show people what it is. Okay. So I'm going to back up real quick. I'm going to go back to creating a dialogue. So I have the bookshelf dialogue here. Now dialogues for bookshelves, they don't really make a lot of sense. And dialogue as a system can be somewhat confusing at first, but it's good to get some exposure to what exists. So in case you're interested in certain options, you can try out the dialogue system. In this case, I have this called NPC dialog, but I can trigger it from a bookshelf. Now, this is a bookshelf. Duh. So in this case, it's a bookshelf. It's not really a character, but again, we can trigger these from anywhere. And if we get into doing really complicated dialogues, it may or may not be useful for users to use. So it's something to look at, try out. If you like it, use it. If you don't, there's other ways to do dialogue. So again, just basic dialogue for the moment. I'm going back to my bookshelf. Now, my bookshelf does not let me add a dialogue directly. That is reserved for actual character objects. But I can go into a quick script that I created here, delete the code that's there, and I can say start dialogue. Now, I do have to type in the name of whatever the dialogue was, validate that expression, and click OK. So you can see here it's got a script associated with it, and we're going to run it just to make sure that this works like we expect. I'm going to pause real quick because I see a question. I just started getting into this so I can learn and teach my 7-year-old, 9-year-old. Quick question. Do you know how to set sound volumes of coded music, or does that exist? DK Subconscious. I don't know off the top of my head. Let me take a look real quick. So you want to say like play sound, for instance? So we have play sound or stop sound, right? So when you play a sound, you have the option to play the sound effect, but you don't have an option for audio control. Actually, don't know that question. I'm going to ask chat real quick. Can you control the volume of sound? It might be something you have to control in the actual sound itself, because there is not a visible option to control sound. I'm asking the Twitch chat right now. Another great place to go, DK Subconscious, there is a Discord for RPG in a Box. So if you go to the website for RPG in a Box, I'm going to put this here. Copy and paste it. This is someone asking on YouTube. I think Justin added volume in the client options. Okay. So this is the pause. Obviously, this is not being recorded. This isn't part of like the tutorial, but I got a question, so I figured I'd try to answer it. Let's go into the gameplay section. Where would it be? General, gameplay, mechanics, controls. I don't think there is a way directly to control sound. Oh, it's just, yeah. So it's an option to control the sound overall in the game. So if I go back to where the game is here, we can go to options and we can control audio this way. There isn't a scripted way to control sound, apparently. Just an overall sound volume control. Hopefully that makes sense for you, DK Subconscious. But there is an in-game way to manage sound controls. I think it would be interesting to have the ability to like fade out and fade in, but it looks like that's not yet an option. Or otherwise control the sound volume of your sound separately. Okay. So back to you can fade in that music. How do you do that? Hold on a second. I heard the words we can. So let's see, fade. Oh, look at that. There's fade in and fade out. Stop music, maybe? Oh, look at that. So when you stop music or stop sound, it has a fade duration. DK Subconscious, that's how you would do it if you're going to stop. So you can't control the sound of it while it's playing. You can only control the sound of it when you are stopping it, looks like. And I assume that when you're playing it in, you can do this. Must be the interval of fading in, so that when you're setting that number, it'll fade into the max volume. But you can't say like the sound is playing actively, now make it a certain sound level. Feature requests, yes. But also always go to the RPG in a Box Discord. That's the best place to ask questions. There's users on my Twitch right now who are way more advanced users than I am, who know more of the ins and outs of the engine, who've used it more recently. Um, so always feel free to go and ask in there. Everyone's really helpful in that Discord. Slayer is a beast in the help channel. Okay, Slayer is a beast. Slayer also has a lot of tutorials to check out. Okay, so we have the map loaded. We're going to go just take a look and see if we can get that bookshelf to open. Oh, interact. E. E to interact. Let's go interact with our bookshelf. This is the bookshelf. Duh. So the dialogue system, I have heard, can be a little bit tricky for people to learn. You can do the same thing with nodes, and you can do a lot of different, more fluid capabilities. This system here might be something you prefer to use. As you can see with the dialogue tools, you can do things like adding conditions or having essentially loops or doing things like the players talking versus somebody else. But you can get the same effect by using nodes in the node system. So go with whatever works best for you, but at least you know now how you could create a dialogue if you needed. Okay, so I'm not going to put interactions on everything here. We are going to work on hiding our house with a roof. The roof, the roof, the roof is on Matzi. Sorry, back to focusing. So we're going to put a very basic roof on. I'm not going to get into like the specifics and bests of how to make a roof. There's a lot of different options for making your roof. I'm going to go for the flat style, the simple style, because that's how I roll. So earlier I talked about how these map tools work. There is this skip by tile size. This is the easiest way for me to get to roof level. Now, it's actually kind of interesting. I should probably be one up from that because this will put the tile right on top of these tiles I've already created. So we're going to do it that way, and we're going to just make a flat roof. I could do something fancy, but for the moment, all I really want to get to is how do we make it so that roof will disappear when my character is inside of the house? So it's actually pretty simple. There's an auto tiling system based on groupings of tiles. So what is a grouping of tile? Well, first off, I could try to select tiles by doing each individual. But you can see here, there's this box mode. I can actually use box. Sorry, there's a select mode. My camera blocks this. So in the select mode, I can choose single or box. So in this case, I'm going to go box. Go box or go home, am I right? And then I'm going to select all the things I want to turn into a group. Now I'm doing this a little backwards because I already put the roof on and I haven't actually made the grouping for the floor, which is necessary for the auto tiling. But I already know what I'm going to call it. I'm going to go to grouping here and I'm going to say add group. I just right clicked on my selection and I have all these different options. We're going to add a group. And my group name is going to be something that's based upon what I want my base tile group to be. So in this case, I'm going to make a floor 1. Presuming someday I want to add another level to this house. We're going to make a floor 1 dash hide. So this dash hide, this is what tells me how something will show our hide based upon whatever tile you're on. So when I make the floor 1 group and I walk into the house, anything that's marked as dash hide will be hidden automatically. And just for sanity's sake, just in case for some reason I made other groups, I'm going to remove this from any group these tiles might be part of. We're going to click OK. Now it's kind of hard for me to see inside the house with this group in the way. I'm going to go back to map properties. Map properties has a bunch of different options, which we haven't even gone over. But in this case, I want to look at groups that are available. You see here, there's only one group. And I have these options here to either select that group or hide the group or show the group or even remove the group. In this case, I just want to hide it so I can see inside my house again. Pause for a second. No, watch the cakes. Yum. Okay, so we have hidden the roof group, and now I need a way to tell the system when I am walking on a certain tile type, whether I should show or hide things. So in this case, we had called it floor 1. And so I want to just select the entire house, who cares? And we're going to make the same thing here. We're going to do a group, but in this case, as I keep saying in this case, but now we're going to call it floor 1, and that's it. So floor 1 is the primary group that I want to represent, that I want to use to determine if other things should show or hide. Finally, the other thing I want to do is make sure before I start running my map is to re-show the roof, because it'd be kind of weird if my roof was showing when the map starts. Now, I will say that because I've used RPG in a Box in the past, it might be that it accounts for this already, but just in case, I'm going to put the roof back on so I can show you exactly how this works. So right now, this roof, all these tiles have a name in their group called floor 1-hide. And all the floor tiles are just called floor 1. So we're going to go back and we'll start a new game. We're going to walk into our house. And there you go. All of the tiles go away. And that is the very basic of auto tiling, or auto hiding, I should say. When you do auto hiding, you can get really complicated. You could have multiple floors, and then it gets a little bit more complicated about when to show or hide things. But on the basic level, you have a house and you have a roof, and you can make the roof go away. And it's not on fire. I'm going to pause and say, Nix, you said, what if you already made a second floor? Isn't it hard to group them? Yeah. I don't know if RPG in a Box has made it easier now, but I do recall that being somewhat annoying to deal with. But I'm not doing that in this tutorial because this is supposed to be a simpler tutorial. Okay, so we showed how we can auto hide on the most basic level. We're going to hide the rest of our roof so we can look at our house again. Now, I did notice a little bit of an annoyance. Not super important to fix, but you notice that when the roof was showing, that computer shows through the top. So if that really bothers you, you can always go and edit the model, maybe make the model a little shorter, or you could theoretically make the house taller if that is what you'd like to do. So just, for sanity's sake, I'm going to go in and make this just a smidge shorter. And see how I can change the height of a voxel, even type the number in. And now I've sort of cut my computer or my TV screen a little bit. So with the editor here, I'm going to do two things. First off, I'm going to choose the paint tool. And again, I'm going to use the control click or alt click, I should say, to get the color. I'm going to paint this the same color as the top of the monitor. Now I need to use the adding tool so I can add voxels to my voxel model. Very basic voxel editing. I know the screen looks a little squat, but that way it won't show up in the roof like it was before. So now we no longer see the roof, which is exactly what I wanted. I'm wondering if, was that enough for a... Nah, I think I can still do the cinematic. Yes, I know. I know I could, but remember what I'm trying to do to start with is, so the purpose of this tutorial series is to give people sort of a scaffolding based approach to learn. So when you scaffold, yeah, you could teach them every single possible option, but you try to keep it simple. And while you might say, well, scaling is simple, true, except I don't get the opportunity then to go into the voxel model and show some very basic voxel editing. At some point, I'm going to have to get people using the voxel editor. So you're right, we could just scale it, but I'm not going to scale it because I'm keeping everything in the voxel world. Later, I will absolutely scale things, as I progress in tutorializing things. I'm happy to explain my methodology. RPG in a box is a lot for people to process, even for how simple it is. I mean, there's a bunch of knobs and things that you can turn, and everyone's going to figure out the best way they want to edit and manage their maps, uh, which is fine. But to get to that point, I think it's good to build up with as simple features as you possibly can. And then when you start getting in things like, oh yeah, you could scale the model slightly or whatever, that's fine. Some people like me might want to keep the actual scale as it is. I like keeping the voxel scale as it is unless I really need to change it. So in this case, I was glad that I could shorten it without having to squish it down with scaling. But I'm also a little bit OCD when it comes to that. Okay, so for our next trick, we are going to try a very, very basic cinematic sequence. So this is the start of the Foreign Prince Simulator game. And what we're going to do is we'll make it so you talk to your bed and go to sleep. And when you wake up the next day, your mother, the queen, comes in to tell you all about what your quest is supposed to be. We won't make a quest today. We're just going to make the most basic dialogue that we can. There's a couple things that we're going to need to do to make this work. First off, we'll have to add a script to the bed so you can interact and actually have something happen. Previously, I just made it talk. Now we're going to do something a little bit more fancy. So in this case, we're going to actually make the script in the script section so we can apply it to the bed. So we'll make a brand new script. We'll right click this time, new script. And this time we'll call it start first quest. Sometimes when you get to naming things, you just name it something. Later on, we can always rename it if we want to. So this is going to be the script that actually kicks off the first quest that we're going to do. I like to do things in phases. So the first phase is going to be we talk to the bed, it fades out, it waits a second, and it fades back in. So we're going to go in here. We're going to look for fade, which I had already had typed. So I'll type it again, fade. We'll have fade out. Fade duration 1 second. That's good. We'll add a wait. And we'll fade in. Another thing that's important is that when you do actions like scripts, if you don't stop the player from moving, they still have access to move. So instead of just doing a fade out and fade in, we're also going to do a lock. We can lock the camera. That'll stop the camera from being able to be moved, which is good if we want to move the camera via script. We're also going to lock player movement. I want to make this happen before I actually make my sequence happen. So you can see that I can just move and drag these connectors. It makes writing script with nodes pretty easy and straightforward. And I'll drag it up here. And as you can see, while I did that, the scripts got added here as well. So again, if you like to write script and code, you can always click the edit button and you can edit the code here. It'll refix it and reformat and align things perfectly. So we had fade out, wait 2 seconds, and fade in. Why don't we just prove that this is going to work before we do anything else? We're going to go into our map properties, map tools, I should say. I'm going to click on our bed. Again, click on my bed. What's going on here? Let's do single select. There we go. Change it to single select, maybe makes it click easier. Click on our bed, go to the properties, and instead of using our quick script, we're going to select our start first quest script. It's not triggerable by NPCs, and that's all we should need in order to make this work. We're going to quick play. And walk ourselves into our house and talk to our bed. All right, we're back and nothing works. Perfect. So I locked the player movement. My player cannot move now because I stopped them from moving. And this is important because I do want a cinematic sequence to happen. So the very next sequence needs to be something that triggers action to cause the sequence to happen. And so I don't want the player to be able to move in this case. In fact, I need to do a couple little extra things in order to facilitate the process I'm trying to do. First off, and I can explain this a little bit more in the future, but I need to change the character model to something that is non-existent. In order to do cinematic sequences with free movement, I actually need to use objects on the screen that are not the player. And so I actually need to create a character that is blank. I'm going to make a 16 by 16 by 16 character. You can see I used the new character button at the bottom. And this is going to be called blank. And this will be a good way for me to blank out the main character while I'm making my change. I'm going to make a blank character. And I think I should just be able to leave it blank like that. Okay. The next thing I need to do is if I'm going to put an NPC on the map, I'm going to need to learn about the path system or navigation system, I should say. So this option here in the map tools that says connect, this is what lets you add navigation pathing. I don't need it for free movement, but I do need it to move other characters on the map. So if I have a sequence that I want to have happen in this area, I'm going to need to draw a path to allow that to happen. In this case, I know for sure I'm going to want a character to move from the door to about here. And I know for sure I'm going to want the player to move from here down to there. So I'm just going to make two different paths here. And when I fade the map out, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to place a character at this spot, and I'm going to place a character at this spot. I'm going to pause for a second. I'd width to add lines manually in box mode. I wish to add nav lines manually in box mode. What does that mean? You wish we could add them manually? I see what you're saying. You wish we had what, like the box or single mode. I get it. Yeah. That would be nice. Okay. So back to this script. That means in my script, I'm going to need to add the character here, which represents the queen. And I need to add the character here that represents the player. And I also need to hide the player so that I can make this sequence happen. So let's figure out the points we need to use. First off, we have the point -9, -1, and 0. We'll go back to our script editor. And we're going to add a character to the map for those points. I want to add a character. And the character I'm going to add is actually going to be the Justin character. Incidentally, I forgot that I need to do something different here. So I'm going to back up for a second. I can't do it by the coordinate. I do it by tile. So in order to add a character to a spot, I need to give the tile I want to add it a name or an ID. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to name this player tile. And I'll call this one mom tile, I guess. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. One's called player tile, one's called mom tile. So I've given them a tag so I know where I can place them. I'll go back to the script editor. I'm going to find the add character script, drag it on here. And instead of it being blank, we'll choose Justin. And the tile is going to be player-tile. No, entity ID, actually. Entity ID is going to be player-tile. Is that right? Will that work? I have a green glow because I have a green screen. Hey, DK Subconscious, thank you for the follow. Can I do this entity or? That would be the green screen and the light reflection. Yeah, and I'm my Italian skin is very oily, so it doesn't help. And my baldness is very baldy. Also doesn't help. I think this will work, right? Do I have to do a tile ID or will entity ID work? Kind of want to know. So I guess this will go into this screen. I'm fairly certain that when you set an entity ID, you can just put the name here and that will place it in that location. If this doesn't work, this is part of learning how to develop, right, folks? Yes. Thank you for agreeing with me. I appreciate it. So in this case, I'm just going to put where I put Justin here, place him there. I also want to make sure I rotate Justin in the right direction. So let me see here. I believe the direction is east, actually. This is north, so I'll face Justin east. We'll see if we can rotate the character. Rotate entity toward or rotate player toward, but we're going to use an entity because the entity is the object that we're actually moving. Oh, I see. We're going to back up here, and I remember that the player tile is actually the name of where we're placing it. The entity ID is the thing that we're moving. So we'll call it player character. This is what we're going to use later. Ignore the fact that we had that weird line. So the entity we're going to move is actually going to be entity by ID, like that. So that's the entity that we just created. In this case, we don't want to rotate it towards. We want to rotate it in a direction. I chose the wrong one, which is fine. We'll fix that. We're going to go back and say rotate in direction. Okay, we got to back up here. First off, when we create a character and we place them, this is where we place them. This is the name of the object. It doesn't look like we have a rotate entity in a direction. Is that true? Set entity rotation. Okay. So there wasn't a way to set the direct rotation of an entity. Is that true? That's really obnoxious. I thought there was a way to rotate a specific entity in a specific direction. This is how we learn, folks. We make mistakes and we move forward with our lives. The entity rotate on their own when walking, if that matters. No, I want to start with the entity rotated a specific direction. Now I actually know where I want the entity to rotate. So we're going to try it this way. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So we're going to rotate the entity we just added into a different direction. We're going to say that it's going to be a entity ID. And the target is going to be hopefully the entity that we created on the ground. Now, if it doesn't work, that's okay. I know how we can fix that, but we're going to try that, see how it works. We also need to add mom to the picture. So we're going to add a character for mom. Boom shakalaka. In this case, mom is going to be Justin's wife, Sarah. Obviously, in this case, they're just acting. So then this tile is going to be called mom tile. And NTID is going to be mom character. Now, I'm curious to see if mom tile will work. If that doesn't work, we know exactly how we're going to change it. Now, let's go here and do rotate towards. This is the very next tile, and we're going to add the mom character in here. And we're going to point the mom at the player character. So if the tile piece doesn't work, that's okay. What we'll do instead is we'll set it the opposite way. I suppose we could have typed it here too, but I felt like using my mouse. So YOLO. So let's just make sure that this basic script works. Get this line. Why is the line not working? Here. So we have our script. The script is tied to the bed as we expect it to be. We're not going to have any movement yet. We're just going to see what happens when we play the game. Is the direction you desire not north, south, east, or west? No, it is. I didn't see an option to move an entity in a direction though. Was that in the script editor? I see reset entity rotation. This is obviously not for this screen. I see set entity rotation, which is code based. But I don't see a set entity direction. Okay, so here we are. We're going to load up the map and go try to sleep in our bed. Aha! So first off, we notice we ran into a problem. Target tile is occupied by an impassable character. Also, apparently, we have an invalid entity. So one of the there's two problems that we've run into here. First off, I tried to put my character on a tile where I shouldn't be able to, apparently. So that's something we're going to have to fix. Second off, I cannot rotate a character towards a tile. So it's going to have to be something else. So part of the problem is very likely that we have the player sitting here. So for sanity's sake, we're going to move where this tile is located. We're going to remove the player tile and just move it here rather than moving the player somewhere. So the same thing, the tile's there, that's fine. We're going to go into our script and we'll make some adjustments to how we did this. So first off, player is placed there. Mom is placed there. That's fine. I'm going to pause for a second. Set entity direction. Oh, that's more obvious. Look at that. Well, I've already got the code written, so I'm just going to deal with it. So we're going to go back to this real quick here. And now I wanted to use rotate entity towards because it means I can point two entities at each other. However, if I wanted to make them move by a cardinal direction, I could use set entity direction, which is a feature I forgot about, but super duper Saturn, thank you for your help, has reminded me that this is a capability. This happens to be a type of code where I have to actually edit code in the actual node. So it's possible that maybe I don't want to do that. If I know what my entity names are, I should be able to rotate them towards each other. You can see here we're adding these characters, hopefully in the correct places. And then we have rotate entity towards the different directions. Now, I can't rotate towards a tile, but I can rotate towards a character. So I already know I have a mom character. We'll try to rotate towards those two. The other thing I forgot to do, which is also super important, is I need to change the object that is the player character. I have to make it invisible, otherwise we'd have two Justins. So we're going to go and say set set model. We're going to go to set entity model. And we're not going to say self. We're going to hit the little wizard there and hit player. And then we have to say the model name. In this case, the model name is blank. So this will allow us to make the player disappear and replace the player with our other character. We'll just put it in there. We'll hit save. And let's see how it looks. Back to new game. Let's see if we can fix our mistakes. At least some of them. Not all the life mistakes. We're going to fade out. Fade back in. We have our character. Perfect. Now, I don't have control of my camera, but trust me, if this is working, it means that there is the mom somewhere over here in the corner. Apparently, my NPC also decided it wants to go on its own little journey. Amazing. Okay. I wonder if there's like a lock. Let's see here. There isn't a way to lock entity movement. But I suppose I'll be moving them. I should create a new behavior. Yeah, it's a little annoying that it does it that way, but I'll speak to that. We'll come back to this and I'll put the pieces together. I'm not even going to worry about that yet. Okay, so we were able to load the character, but we don't really know what's going on. The character's looking in a random place. We also noticed that the character was walking around. Now we'll worry about the character walking around in a second. Instead, first I want to just see if I can see where the mom went. Pause. Hi, Wallaber. Yes, free movement, and I'm doing a tutorial. I'm doing the remake of my tutorial series. It looks like I'm probably just going to get through the third one, so I'm remaking all of it in one night, basically. Unpause. So we want to see what happens when we fade in, and we want to be able to see the mom. We're going to need to have a moment where we can move the camera to where she's at. So we're going to look for a camera function. Look at all the different things. So I can move the camera. I can move the camera at speed or over time. It's very likely I probably want to move it over time so it's not just instant. And I can either set it to a position or I can make it look at a target. So I wonder if I can set, hold on a second. Is that what I want? Let me see here. I'm going to take a look at these real quick. Back up. Back up. I thought there was a way to move a camera toward a target. I can look at a target. Rotates the camera. I can... There's not a way to like move the camera directly to an entity? That's annoying. That'll be like an advanced feature, I guess. All right. Well, we're going to back up. Okay, so we're going to move the camera over time. Now, the camera requires me to actually either specify coordinate or preset position. I can't just say go to this entity. But I can either create a position that I set as a configuration, or I can just find the coordinate on the map. So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to find the coordinate I want to move the camera to. In this case, I'll just move it to this spot. So this coordinate, which you can see right over my shoulder here, look at that, is -5, 2, and 0. Part of me wonders if I make it 0, if it's going to go down into the ground. It feels like it might actually go down into the ground, right? Is that what would happen if I made it 0 instead of like 16 or 30? Because this is the XYZ position. That's 2. The floor tile is at 2. Is it like 30? So if I put this number, which is the Y number at 2, it'll definitely go into the floor. We want to make it go up into the sky. This is one thing to consider if you're using coordinates to set your position. But another way to do it could be to save a camera position based upon what my map is looking at right now. So I can actually go into my map properties, and I can go over to our camera presets. Which are located, actually, they're somewhere else. Where are my camera presets? Camera boundaries? Oh, that's cool. Camera positions. Okay. So to record a camera position, I can go up here and say save camera position. So I have the position of the camera. If this is where I want it to look, then I will save it like this. We'll call it mom look. So this creates a camera position that I can use as a setting, as opposed to relying on my ability to know exactly what a coordinate should be. But instead, we'll just copy and paste the mom look in there. And the move, maybe we'll take 1.5 seconds to move there. Not very far to go. And then we also want to make sure that we're going to look at our mom character. Now, I don't have any idea off the top of my head exactly what this is going to look like, but I do know roughly what's going to happen. And the great part about doing these sort of things when you're making your game is you have plenty of options to tweak and mess with it. But you have to feel comfortable enough to just do the thing. So do the thing, see how it works, find out later whether it did or not. We're going to walk ourselves into our house again. Talk to our bed. And boom. Now, it looks like we had an issue where something tried to add a player character twice. I'm not actually sure what happened there other than I think the interaction on the bed happened. So I pressed the bed interaction. You notice there's a little bug there, right? The player is still facing the bed. So earlier on, I locked the player movement, but I did not lock the player's interaction. So even though the player can't move, it can still interact. So I want to make sure, really important, that I also lock the player's interactions. We're going to throw this in here there so I can't accidentally press it twice. And you notice now after this, I won't be able to accidentally, mess up the script. There's also something a little bit annoying that's happening when we place those characters. By default, characters have random player movement. or character movement. So I want to be able to have those characters stay still and not move. There are ways to do this. The best and easiest way is to drop a character on the map, click on them, and then go and make some behavior settings. So here's behavior settings. This defines how any character might move. When you drop a character on, you can define a custom behavior that you make them do, or you can use a preset behavior. So in this case, I'm going to end up saving my behavior. If I save as a preset, I can name it something. In this case, I'll call it cinematic. This is going to be something I'm going to use for any character I add to the map that is going to be cinematic of nature. Then I go down to this movement area, and I'm going to just make it none, immobile. So this character will not move, hopefully, at all. I'm also going to make their movement interval. Sorry, back up. So this character will not move. They'll be immobile. They shouldn't go in any direction. Just in case, I'm going to change all the movement direction to none. And we don't really care about player interest or otherwise. So now that we have that, we can save it. Oops. Go back to cinematic. I saved it and it created another custom one. So we're going to go back here. We're going to make it immobile. We're going to make the movement rotation none. And then we're going to save it. I see. You change it and then change it. Okay. So we're going to save it again as cinematic. So whenever you save, apparently, it will ask you to save over an existing behavior. It doesn't let you sort of edit and change it. You just save and overwrite. So we have a cinematic behavior now that we can use for our object. I don't need this character here anymore. I can just remove them. And I can go back to my script. And right after I added my characters, I can set their behaviors to what I want it to be. We're going to move our nodes out of the way. What is the set behavior thing? I thought there's a way to set their behavior from here. Yeah, but how do I live without you? I want to know. How do I live? How do I set their behavior? Set character behavior? Set dialogue? Set entity direction? No, but in script, how do I set the behavior? I thought there was a way to do that from scripts. There's not a way to do that from scripts? I have a behavior here. So there's no way to do that from nodes? I can't do that with a node? It's only from scripting? Again, this is the pause moment. This is why we learn while we do. This is how we do. Do. This is how we do. They're just going to add like a random script bit. What does that add here? Okay, so it's a signed value. Have a new designer friendlier way by having a cinematic version of NPC. I could, but I'm trying to also teach people how to do things. So it's, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Okay, so we're gonna go back here. I'm gonna reset this real quick. Come on, Node. Come on, Node. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Was it set variable? Set, set, set. What was the thing now? Set entity property. There it is. Yeah, there's no default function. I thought there would be, but there clearly isn't. Okay. So in order to add a behavior to an entity, we have to get a little deeper into how the code works. Now, we could write some code in our box site, but I'm still going to try to use the nodes to make this happen. So we want to set an entity property. So we have set entity property as an option. Is that going to work? Set entity property. Let me see what it does. But that's not what it showed me when I wrote the code. Something else. Set. And I'll find out. This is a little bit more involved for phase 3. No, there's no default function. Okay. Property name is going to be property value is going to be it's signed value. Okay. We'll back up. This is partly where RPG in a box gets a little confusing, to be honest. If I was just writing code, it'd be a little bit easier, but I am trying to use the node. So. Okay, so to be able to set the behavior of the actual characters, this behavior is what's necessary to keep the characters from moving during cinematic sequences. I could, of course, set up the object beforehand and give them the behavior, but in this case, I want to show how we would do it in script. This is getting a little bit more advanced, but we're learning together at how we do things more involved in our game. Especially if we want to do cinematics, we have to know some of this stuff, manage it better. So in this case, it's actually something called assign value. I still don't see assign value. Does this just not give you the node for it? Assign, what does it say up there? Add character, add effect. These are two. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I never used the node stuff, obviously. So in this case, we need to use this assign value. This actually exists at the top. These are like baked in top level methods of RPG in a box. So we drop in the assign value node. And this is where we get a little bit more advanced. So we're going to go in here and we're going to reference the entity that we want to use. So we are going to use entity mom character. And the value we want to set dot behavior. This is the behavior of that entity. And then we're going to set the value to the string that we named called cinematic. Instead of using number, we'll use string. I realize that this is where things get a little bit more complicated in our scripting. However, if you're going to make a game, you're going to have to learn some of this stuff. Now to make it just a little bit easier, I'm going to go edit the code. You can see here I have entity mom character. I do want my my player character as well. So we're going to change this. We'll just copy and paste it and do player character. And we'll save this. And so this should stop those characters from moving because now I have assigned a behavior that would prevent them from moving. So let's try it one more time. This part of the tutorial is taking much longer than I thought. And we're going to walk into our house again and talk to our bed. Now this time the characters should not move because I have forced them to stop moving. Mom shows up. Somehow, the prince has x-ray vision and can see her through the wall. And we're going to make the most basic movement script that we can. So let's go do that and we'll wrap this up. First off, to make it a little bit easier, I'm just going to specify the name of the tile that I want the character to move toward. I'm not going to use the coordinates. Instead, I'm just going to name the spot, right? I'm going to call it mom spot. And I'm going to call this one player spot. Easy enough. So we move the camera. And after we move the camera, we're going to move one character and then another. So we want move character as our node. Again, we're going to choose the entity ID, and our entity is called mom character. And we're going to move the mom character to the mom spot. We'll pause until complete, so we make sure that the mom moves first, and then we'll move the other character. One other thing we probably want to do is rotate the mom just to make sure that she is facing the correct way. Now, we already have a rotate, which we did here. We can duplicate nodes. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate that node since it already exists. And I'll make sure that after she moves, she has rotated back towards her son. And we'll just do it like, 0.25 or something. And then we'll make the character move. And we'll move this to the player spot. Now, I'm going to assume this works. I don't know if it will, but instead of getting all wrapped up and testing that again, let's just go straight into dialogue. I could make a dialogue system, but we're going to try the easy way of just doing dialogue here. So let's see about what kind of messages we can do. So we could just display a message, right? I don't think there's a dialogue message here. We could do choices, but let's just display a message, right? Somehow my node went somewhere random. Here it is. So we're going to display a message. The speaker is going to be the character, and the character is going to be the player character. I know I keep typing it. I could theoretically do something like copy paste, but we are using nodes. Instead of saying hello world, it's saying, Mom, what are you doing here? Question mark, because you got to emphasize the question mark, right? Now we're going to make the mom talk. To make it easier, again, we'll duplicate this. My son, I have terrible news. Your uncle, the Baron, the Baron, we're not even going to give the Baron a name, has died. The mom doesn't have a manly voice, but I guess I could, oh, my son. So in this case, the character isn't going to be the player character, it's going to be the mom character. And then we'll proceed to have some fun with dialogue. Now, what I'm going to do is, can I select more than one? I want to duplicate two at once. Give myself a little bit more leeway for my dialogues. Yes, DK subconscious, pause. Yes, you could activate a dialogue. That's true. What I'm doing, I've already shown dialogues earlier. Now I'm showing the non-dialogue approach to just creating a message sequence. Um, Saturn or Super Duper Saturn pointed out earlier that sometimes people actually find dialogues difficult to deal with. And so in this case, I'm just not doing that. I'm just making it simple. Okay, so we made a duplicate and we're going to connect those and we'll just finish the dialogue off. I have terrible news. Your uncle, the Baron, has died. Oh no. That's terrible. And she goes, I need your help. No, I need your help. His only living relative lives in a distant land. And so in this case, just for purpose of like dialogue simplicity, we're going to break it apart. I need you to find them and bequeath. Bequeath? Is that bequeath? 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 Is that how you spell bequeath? Their inheritance. Duplicate. The Baron's will was very specific. You must collect their bank information before we can make the transfer. Can you imagine that? Like all these, like, you know, prince, foreign prince scams were real. It's like, yeah, we just really can't transfer unless we know your bank information. It's like, yeah, sure. Let's duplicate it. Pause. You're in top of chat of Discord, aren't you, Saturn? Yeah, Saturn is a chatter. And Saturn's providing some more information about these things for you. So we're going to bequeath, but we need bank information. I understand, Mom. I will get right on it. After I finish my nap. No, I'll get right on it. I'm not going to finish my nap. I'll get right on it. Thank you, my darling. I knew I could rely on you. I suggest you send a letter from YOLO Town. Once you find out who to send it. Wait, I suggest, actually, what do we do? Thank you, my darling. I knew I could rely on you. Duplicate. I suggest you check the records for the Baron's relative in YOLO Town and send them a letter immediately. And then we give you a direction where you need to go, right? I must be off now. Good luck, my son. And then we'll make her leave. So, couple things I'm going to do. So I'll make the character walk or move back to the first tile. I'm not going to worry about like door opening and stuff. You can do all sorts of things with your animations. Right now, I just want to finish this because there's so much content. So we're going to move a character Is it move character? There it is. We're going to move the character, which, again, for some reason, moves it all the way over here. We'll move the mom character out back to the door, which I think I called it the mom tile. So we'll move it back to the mom tile. We'll pause that until complete, and then we'll just make the character go away. So again, I'm not going to worry about like a sequence where the door opens or something. You can absolutely do that. It's not really too hard, but this gives the idea of what a cinematic sequence might look like, and you can always mess around with how you do things later. Mom character, right? So we're going to remove the mom character. She's just going to go away, and then we're going to reset the camera. So there's a reset camera at speed. Actually, you know what? Not at speed. We'll do over time. Reset camera over time. And we'll do just a real fast reset. And then we got to like undo all the things that we did with the character. Now, because we have to swap the character, and I don't really want to worry about which direction your player is facing, I'm going to make it a little bit interesting. I'm going to fade out and fade back in. Now, I know it's kind of interesting to do that. It is a good way to like pull magic tricks, pull the rabbit out of the hat. We'll make the fade out and fade in much faster. But what I'll do is I'll fade out. I'm going to remove the entity of the character that I use for my player, essentially. Actually, before I remove the entity, I'm going to move my player to the entity. That would be smarter. So we're going to move player to the tile ID, which is going to be player spot. And we'll hope that this works. I don't know for sure. Maybe it's actually set. Can I move the player, or do I have to set its location? I might need to ask the audience. Put player should work in free movement. Okay. Back up. Rewind. before we remove the entity, we'll put the player in the correct location, which we actually use put player. In free movement, the move player, which is supposed to actually walk the player to a location, doesn't work. Somehow, where did my put player thing go? Around here somewhere. Put player. Come on. There it is. So there must be another one floating around here somewhere. Hopefully they'll clean it up. Okay, so we'll put the put player, put the player in here. And we'll put the tile ID, which is going to be the player spot. And in this case, I'm pretty sure we want them to face east. And then we'll remove the entity that represents the player, which is going to be player character. We don't need you anymore. And then we have to unlock all the things. So we're going to unlock the camera, unlock the player movement, unlock the player interaction. Now, I seem to be having this issue where when I drag things onto the node base, you can see they just appear in random spots. I'm not really sure if there's a way to fix that per se, but just make sure if you drag something onto the node area, check around in case you don't see the object you just added. We're going to unlock the player. We're going to unlock movement, and we're going to unlock the camera. Oops. We're going to, I think the reset camera actually unlocked it. Right? It must have, right? I think it does. Let's see. Yeah, returns control to the player. Okay. So we actually don't want to reset it. I guess it doesn't matter. Pause. Okay. We don't have to unlock the camera actually, because if we reset the camera, it automatically unlocks it, which is fine. And then we already have the character getting unlocked here. So theoretically, this is it. It'll work. Fingers crossed. Let's give it a go. And just for funsies this time, we're going to see if we can get this into full screen mode. Why not? This will be a good ending of our third stage of our work. Go back, create a new game. Let's go to Yellowtown. Actually, Yellowtown's probably the next one we do. Gonna walk into our house, go to bed. Let's see what we broke and didn't broke. Oh my gosh, I need your help. His on. That was a lot all at once. So clearly it happened too fast. Also, the mom did not pause. The movement did not pause when the mom was walking. Okay, fine. I need you to find and bequeath their inheritance. The Baron's will was very specific. Okay. I understand, Mom. I will get right on it. Thank you, my darling. I knew I could rely on you. So this is probably going to leave and do something weird. All right. So error and move character, start for quest. Entity must be a character. That's fine. So we can go back and fix those problems. We had basically created a few problems. It never works. If it works the first time, be afraid. Very, very afraid. So first off, we do need to make sure that the player character pauses. That's probably actually what happened, and that is why we had an issue. We want the mom to rotate right after she gets to her spot. And we should be okay with this sequence. I don't know why it didn't rotate properly. Player character, that's right. Okay. So we got through the entire sequence. We had some weirdness happen. So I hope that this pausing is working. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but you know what? If it's a bug, it's a bug in my code, and I will figure it out. But at the end, we need to move the mom back to a tile. Now, maybe I didn't call it tile. That might be the problem. Let me see what I called this. Oh, it is called mom tile. So it looks like maybe move character probably worked okay. What was it that didn't work? Mom tile. Is it not an entity? It must be a tile. Can you not use a tile ID as an entity ID? No, because we use it in the first place. Weird. Called mom tile, right? Oh. So me not paying attention to what I was doing, I didn't call the entity that I was moving correctly. The entity I'm moving is the mom character, not the mom tile. See? We make we make boo-boos. We're definitely not going to put the other thing I was saying in. Total flub of my words. I have to move the mom character, not the mom tile. I'm moving it to the mom tile. Perfect. So let's try this again. For posterity, as they say. Unfortunately, I have to go unfull screen it. If I can move it. All right, we go to new game. Try again. Dun 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 dun. I think he's just like slid across. I need your help. His on. We got to figure out what's going on here and why it's saying his on. I need you to find them. Okay. I understand, Mom. I'll get right on it. Okay. I knew I can rely on you. Good luck, my son. And she walks out and it goes back to the player, which is a problem. And it looks like we forgot to fade in. Folks, this is how we make games. I'm going to pause for a second. Hello, Joseph DePerla. Thank you for the hello. Hope you're doing well. And Santiago, how are you? Okay, so a couple things here. We got to figure out what's going on in the beginning. Because something weird is happening with the dialogue. So somehow we're missing this whole sequence. It's like shifting all the way to his on right here. Now that's weird, and it feels like there's something strange going on with the dialogue sequencing. Now, for sanity's sake, what I'm going to do is right here, when I have the character walk to the player's spot, I'm going to put a wait. This might help whatever's happening there with the script. I'm going to grab our little wait here and drag our lines to the dots. And we'll just wait a couple seconds for the movement to happen. We can see here in our script, it should be okay. We have the sequence of the player character, mom character back and forth. All that stuff is set up fine. We'll apply and save. It's actually going to, when I go into the code and I apply and save, it'll actually fix up my script too. So that might tell me if there's something weird going on with the sequencing, but it all looks fine. So if there is a bug, the best place to go for help is the RPG in a Box Discord and ask for help. People are super, super helpful with you there. And then the final thing I'm going to do here is I'm not going to reset the camera until after I have set the player appropriately. So instead of resetting camera over time here, I'm going to fade out. And I'm actually going to reset it immediately because we're already doing the smoke and mirrors. We'll just do reset camera after the fade out. And then we will fade it back in. Because whenever you fade out, folks, fading in, that's also important. Fade away, fade away. Okay. And we'll do it a fast fade. We don't need it to take long. 0.25. Perfect. Let's save it and we'll run it again. Santiago, I'm great. I'm remaking some videos live on stream. We're seeing how this goes. It's the Yellow Town world. Okay, let's play this again. I have to go over to the stupid screen over here and change it. Okay. This, one way or another, this is the final run through. I think I've given you all enough to look at about how things work. So we're going to wrap up the video after this and probably wrap up the stream. All right, we're back in here. We're going to go into our house. We're going to see if we can get this sequence to work pretty close to what we want. Remember, when you're doing these sort of things in your games, it's not always going to work perfectly the first time. All right, I need your help. His on. So we have some weirdness going on with dialogue. I'll have to unpack what's going on there a little bit. super not important for what we're trying to do. At least we're seeing that we have the characters talking. We clearly have some things we need to fix, and that's okay because we're getting the message across. I need you to find the Baron's distant relative and bequeath them with things. I'll get right on it, Mom. Thank you so much. Let's move forward with our lives. And the next video, of course, we'll talk more about how to set things up like quests and whatnot. Perfect. Look at that. All perfect. Just what we wanted. Walking around the screen, perfect camera angle. Everything is exactly how we set it. Oh my goodness. Two quick things we'll fix though. I don't know exactly why the reset camera does it that way. Oh, because I never actually reset the camera. I did it. I did. So I'm not really sure what's going on with reset camera. It really should put the camera back to where it's supposed to be. But it might be because I didn't put the entity back into the character. So when I put the player into a spot, I do need to set the player model. Right here. If I don't set the model back, it's going to be that invisible model we set in the beginning. Actually, we need a player model. If I don't set the player model back, oh, I guess I do set entity model. So back up. If I don't set the entity model back to the right one for the player, then I won't get the camera and everything else functioning like it's supposed to. There you go. Set entity model. So again, it likes to just play, you know, hide and seek with the things I add to the map. Not really sure how to fix that particularly. But I guess for sanity's sake, I'm just going to drop it at the end. At least if I drop it at the end, it usually tries to pick it up. All right. That works. And because I haven't actually set the entity model here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the reset camera. And I'll set the entity model here. And here what we'll do is say the player. And the model name is going to be Justin. Then what I'll do is right before I fade in, I will reset the camera. Reset, reset. We'll reset the camera here. Well, here is a relative term until we can find where the node went. Here as in random node somewhere on the map. There it is. We'll drag that puppy together. Boom. And that's it. Now, I did say that was going to be the last time I ran it, but I felt like with the way that one ended, I should probably try to run it one more time. Now, I also want to go take a quick look at this bauxite script. There does seem to be some weirdness with the way this renders. I want to see if there's anything wrong with the actual script. I don't see anything wrong there. So this will be one for the RPG in a Box bug hunters. We will apply and save, and we'll run this thing again. All right. One more time for good measure. Good Matzi. One more time for good Matzi. We know we have some issues with our cinematics. It's okay. We can fix them up. And when I do another video, I will look at those problems and talk about how I fix them. So we'll go through the whole sequence again. One final time, hopefully. Fade out and fade back in. All right. So again, we have a few things we'll have to fix. What's going on with the camera? I don't know. We'll figure that one out. But we do have movement again. We can move around on the map and we can do our thing. And I think that's a good place to stop. Boom. All right. Back into camera only. It's going to be blue for the background. Second. All right. So that was a bit extended of a video. We focused on the very beginning some simple things like building out the house and making basic interactions and even a dialogue thing. We added the roof tiles and allowed for auto hiding so that when you walk in, the roof goes away. And we even added a somewhat extended effort to create a cinematic sequence. As you can tell, there's a lot of ins and outs of the scripting system and maybe even some bugs either with what I wrote or how the scripting system works. We'll see if we can hammer some of those out by next time and talk about what went wrong or what worked or not. What's important is when you're making these games, always keep trying out different ideas. Go to the RPG in a Box Discord. I'll make sure that I put that link into the description so everyone has that available. Check out the docs. Ask for help. There's a lot of really helpful people on the Discord. For the next part of the series, when I get a chance to do some recording, I'll very likely cover some more in-depth scripting, talk about doing quests, other features like NPCs on the map that wander around that you can talk to, and maybe we even will build out a town called YOLO Town. So more to come. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for those people that were on the live stream dealing with my teacher mode. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. And hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff to look at with RPG in a Box and free movement. Thanks and have a great evening. Or I should say like, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll see you next time. All right. That was my ending there. Okay. So we're going to go back to chat mode. Just chatting. Bosh. I have a back brace on and I've been drinking liquid. Problem with back braces, they compress your bladder. So it's like, okay, my natural timer is going off. It's time to, well, anyway. Thanks for popping in here, by the way, DK Subconscious. I guess I kind of did what I was hoping. I thought maybe I'd speed run a little faster, but I got hung up on the scripting things. So that's good for me to know where I need to focus some more attention. Saturn, if you're still here, thank you for your feedback and help. And Nix has been here giving some thoughts too. I appreciate it. It's been helpful. There's obviously always things to do. I won't be streaming this all the time. Primarily, I will be streaming the Alterium shift development, but this is a good break for me to like, just do something different. Have some fun with RPG in a Box. It was the thing I used to stream a lot. Always, if you want some help prepping for next time, yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I don't know. I just kind of like YOLOing it a little bit. What I need to do is I just need to try some of this stuff. This is the thing I didn't try before I streamed. So I didn't know exactly how the scripting would go. In my mind, it was a little bit easier. Do I do coding in general? Yeah, I do. I do code. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you my project before I fully wrap up. This normally I have things at the bottom of my screen, but I'm not going to turn those on now. So I have actual code, and this is the actual game I've been working on. So I've been working in Unity primarily. Although it is similar, like I used an engine that exported to Unity and then enhanced the crud out of it. I was watching you try and create a cutscene. That's all I've been doing lately. Yeah, I can see like using the node system is a little harder for me. I'm trying to like force myself to do node based because I would just do it like in script, and I probably would use dialogues a little bit, but you know, it stretches me a little bit too to use the node system and just see how it fits and works around. Clearly, it has some little bugs in it that have been somewhat annoying for other people, as well as me. But I'm pretty sure that like once I nail in some of the little bits of it, I'll be okay. I'll come up with the process that works the most effective. Scripting is in text is way faster, while nodes are easier to start with. Yeah, but you know, I am assuming beginners will like to do things more in nodes, right, as opposed to code. Godot could end up getting a Blender style upgrade to massively complete with Unity. I imagine like Blender competes with other. Yeah, and RPG in a Box 2.0 apparently is going to have the ability to uh, export to Godot at some point. So this is the actual game I'm working on. This is what I've been working on for over 3 years now. 5,000 plus hours of effort, if not more. This is Alterium Shift. And I've been making some real serious enhancements actually. So recently I even added like camera look capability, which was not something we had before. And it's funny that RPG in a Box also recently added map edges because I literally just added that capability so that like there's edges to the map when you watch. Previously you'd walk and you just keep seeing the map go down, and now we actually have map edges, which was kind of cool to add as a feature. But anyway, I'm probably about about the burst. So I'm going to go back to just chatting and see if I can find somebody to raid. That looks very cute. Thank you. I love the silhouette behind the trees. Yeah, the shadow behind. I thought that was pretty important. I'm a big fan of that because it tells you where you are, basically. All right, let's see. Where can we go? Where can we go? Maybe Aaron. Let's see what Aaron's doing. Is Aaron playing a game? Aaron's playing a game. All right. What about Evan? Is nobody doing development? Evan's kind of doing development. We're going to go see Evan. All right. I'm literally about to burst. Thank you all for being here. I will do more RPG in a Box streams like this, and I'll try to cut things out in the videos soon. But it was fun. It was fun doing something different. I will be back on Tuesday working on more Unity development. But maybe once a month or so, I'll try to do a video like this. So you all have a lovely night, and I'll see you next time. All right. Thank you all. Have a great night.